All right, welcome back to the Couch Command. Today I have with me Isaac from Lobster Magnet Reviews.
Hey, thanks for having me.
I have my actor friend from New York, Matt.
Hey, what's up?
I also have a buddy of mine who calls himself MJ.
Good afternoon.
Cool. All right, yeah, today's episode we'll be doing what we usually geek on, and after that we'll be tackling Thor, Love and Thunder. But the first person to geek out, I think Doc Falconer, Matt from New York, has been chomping at the bit to talk about some things.
I've been chomping a little bit, yeah.
And my guess, because like we talked about this earlier, and like he played something that's really hard that like, is it Elden Ring?
Oh, no. I actually didn't specify whether I had played it, watched it, or whatever. And so I have not played Elden Ring yet. Okay. Although I do enjoy Souls game, I really like the kind of challenge that they present. I actually played the what was the really dark one called where you the extra dark one where you can have like a giant razor blade and stuff. But it doesn't matter.
As a casual fan, they actually all look alike to me, and they're all dark. And like they kicked me out. I tried to play the game for like. I'll be generous to myself and say it was only 45 minutes. But like after getting killed and trying to find my way out of this like tower, like I was like, oh yeah, this is supposed to be hard, and I need to figure out for myself. And like I spent like over 45 minutes just trying to get out of that first tower.
Well, that's just frustrating. Yeah. That's just very frustrating. Well, okay. Well, no, what I was actually talking about is that very briefly, I decided that I was going to start collecting Marvel Legends figures.
Right.
And these things are just ridiculously difficult to get at MSRP. And I refuse to pay more than MSRP because they're not that good. And they all sell out immediately, or it's either that or they're just not available in New York, around where I am. Because I'll just, like, for example, like there's all these Targets now in New York and they just don't carry them for some reason. And I'll go to the GameStops and all my GameStops look, they have nothing. They're completely sold out of everything that you might want. And I don't know. I have just found the entire experience of Marvel Legends to be frustrating. So I basically quit before I started.
Still in print, or are they like kind of like a new figure line?
Well, it's like I think that I kind of started being like, all right, I think these ones look pretty cool, and they kind of like, yeah, they're not being made anymore. And so obviously those are just, they're sold out for years and now they're very expensive online.
To be specific on like which ones are you hunting for? And because like to me, like I don't know any much about hunting these, so I would say, why aren't you just going to Amazon and ordering it? Like what are you trying to get?
That's a good question. It's a lot of them. Well, like a lot of times I would just kind of prefer to get them in person because I sort of want to see what it looks like in person before I actually buy it, because the quality control isn't as good with these as it is with like, like a Figuarts or something.
I'm on board with that. Especially the new Thor figure. The new Thor figure from Love and Thunder was fantastic, but the articulation on it is not the best.
Yeah. And that's the thing. It's sort of like some of them, the articulation seems excellent, but other ones is like there's no way to pose them without them looking awkward. And so I just kind of you can watch videos and everything like that, but I'm trying to think of like an example, like and I'm doing a bad job, but I was starting to think like
I would ask for like any specific one. Which ones were you trying to get? Which ones didn't you find?
Okay, here we go.
Also, like more of like a philosophy, even like. Are you trying to find X-Men, mutants, or Mistners?
Correct. I decided I was going to I just wanted to put together a ragtag group of X-Men, from all different things, right? It's just like, because like, for example, I already have Nightcrawler and Rogue and Gambit. And so I was like, all right, well, now I have to get a Cyclops. And so like, there's a relatively recent Cyclops from I can tell it's from one of the Build-A-Figure lines, and let's see if I can figure out. Yeah, here I can find this here. Geez, this is taking too long. But but here I'll just send you a link to the Amazon thing. But it's like it's slightly over MSRP, and so I refuse to pay that. And it's like it's not that old, and so I'm not going to pay $30 for it. I will pay $20 for it, and that is it.
Why that one? That is a weird Cyclops to choose. I don't think I've seen that costume before.
Yeah, I don't even know what the costume is from. I'm such a casual when it comes to X-Men. But yeah, I don't know, because the other ones are even more expensive or look more lame. Like, for example, there is like the Cyclops that looks just like the guy from the 6-player X-Men arcade game, and then there's the Cyclops that looks just like the animated version, or like he would have been in Marvel versus Capcom, right?
Bro, I got a Cyclops for you. I got one for you.
Oh yeah, let's see.
And that price. Let's
take a look.
Thank you. You're welcome. You're welcome.
No, absolutely not.
No.
I
love Age of Apocalypse. Looking 90s badass.
Ah, jeez. No,
I mean, $12 too.
But he's Cyclops, and he has glasses on. He has 2 eyes, and he can't just cover it with his lame long hair and say he only has 1 eye.
No. In this universe, Wolverine cut out the other eye.
Oh, we did. Okay, well, all right, fair.
So now he is a Cyclops.
He actually is a literal Cyclops.
Cyclops shot off like one of Wolverine's hands. Anyway,
all right.
I love this series,
and it is only $12.99, and I like that. But here's my other problem with this: is that
he's got Pauldron.
I do love pauldrons. I do like pauldrons. You're right. I won't, but he doesn't come with the beam effect, and I want the beam effect because another character that I have that's actually connected to my childhood is Sleepwalker. And Sleepwalker has a beam effect with his eyes, and the Cyclops that I was looking at has the beam effect, and so I could use that for Cyclops, or I could use it for Sleepwalker.
The Cyclops you linked, that's from House of X. That's what that outfit is from.
House of X. Thank you. Yes. It's also the one where like the Magneto with a white outfit comes from. It's actually pretty nice looking.
Magneto the White. What have I missed in Marvel Comics lately?
With a white outfit. Yeah. Let me link you to it. This is great for podcast listeners. All these links I'm sending. Anyway, so
I'll be putting pictures.
Links you can't see
on popgeeks.com.
There you go. Hey, there you go in the show notes. So anyway, I figure that's probably enough of that. I'm going to move on unless somebody else has something they want. Okay, another thing. I've been playing Vampire Survivors.
Tabletop or video game?
No, it's the $3 game on Steam that everyone loves, right?
Yeah, exactly. I saw it, and look, I'm super into retro games. I love stuff like that. I've also been playing Skull, and I've been playing like Dead Cells forever, and so I've no problem with like retro looking games and everything like that. I love them. But this one I was sort of like, it looks a little cheap, and $3. I don't know. I don't even know where that came from because $3. But it is so addictive and so amazing, and I cannot recommend it enough. It's so freaking good.
Some kind of top-down shooter?
Yeah, basically you it's all very Castlevania feeling, and what happens is your character shoots automatically. It shoots stuff out automatically, and you collect powers while you're like advancing in levels, and you can pick them up as you go, and you just slowly shoot out more and more crap. So it's kind of like I would almost consider it to be like a top-down Castlevania-esque bullet hell because of the way you're avoiding all of the zombies and the ghosts and the bats and everything. But you can unlock so many different things, and when you get treasure chests, I don't know if y'all have played any like new slot machines, like IRL slot machines, but like the way they do the treasure chest feels like an actual slot machine. And it hits all those dopamine receptors or whatever as they go off, and it's friggin' amazing.
I saw in the trailer here that they actually are throwing the actual boomerangs from Castlevania.
Absolutely. Yeah, they get the little cross boomerangs, and there's like 30 or 40 characters you can unlock. And as you unlock items, like the items can like combine in alchemy and make new items. It's so freaking good. I can't recommend it enough.
And is it co-op? Looks like it should
No, it's not. It's not, and it should be. If it was co-op, then that would basically be my life, I think.
Yep. $3.
That would be it. I would pay grown ass man money to make to buy like a co-op version of this game because it would be so freaking good.
Cool.
Yeah, and then last thing I finished it. I watched Spy Family, the
Oh yeah,
newish.
Spice Family's very cute. I saw through all that. It was fantastic.
Yeah, it's excellent. It's just like really, really well produced, and the characters are lovable, and you end up really caring about everybody. And I'm looking forward to more of that coming out. And yeah, I highly recommend Spy Family.
How many episodes?
I think 12.
12 so
All right.
far.
Yeah,
All right. Anything else?
Yeah, it's like the big new mainstream anime.
it is. It is. I'm on board. I jumped right on that bandwagon. I did
Yeah,
not
I
look
heard
back.
you and your brother talk about it, and I'm curious. So it sounds pretty good.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, and I did finally start watching Dragon Ball Super again, so I'm
Cool.
gonna finish that up. So
Some of the
Yeah.
best fights in fiction.
so good.
You excited for the that? Well, maybe can you explain to me when that movie's supposed to take place? The Dragon Ball superheroes. I am so effing
Oh
confused.
man. I think I'm not positive, but I think that like it might be some alternate, like just for fun universe.
No, because like they've been doing canon movies are like the big shit in fucking the anime world right now.
Mhm.
And that Brawly movie was kind of like a canon sequel to Dragon Ball Supers. And then I read somewhere that like the Dragon Ball Superheroes is supposed to be like a canon sequel to like the most recent arc that happened in the manga. But like, God, it is just a confusing hodgepodge. I am just don't know what's canon, what isn't. So I was wondering if someone could explain it to me.
This guy. I guess no one.
No, I have no idea. I haven't. I am very used to anime movies being completely outside of canon.
Yep.
That always drives me nuts. I'm like, what are we even doing here? What's the point?
And that
of
is
this?
why for a long time I haven't really watched much of like my favorite animes movies ever, because I'm like outside canon, I just don't have time.
Yeah,
Except for
They're-
One Piece, I've done that a few
they're mo-
times, but
They're
friends are like,
mostly
"Force me."
terrible. And even the One Piece movies are mostly forgettable, except for the ones that like the way I see it is if it said that Oda like sneezed on it, then I'll give it like some time. But like if it doesn't have any of the original creators' supervision, then I don't give a fuck. I don't want to see the Straw Hats meet the filler McBadguyton on the Clockwork Island with animals or any of that bullshit. Even if it is like a better budget, it's just like really expensive fan fiction.
Mhm.
Oh, Matt, anything else?
Nope, I'm done.
All right then. I'm gonna go next. What? I just jumped in there. Okay. What I've been geeking on, the biggest thing lately is my 3-body problem care package. Did you guys see me post about that?
I saw that you got it. Yep, and I watched some of the video, but then I got distracted by something or other.
It's not a great video. It's my very first. I'm just trying. But yeah. So 3-body problem is a Chinese sci-fi series that I got into like in 2015 because like I was trying to rediscover like can fiction still wow me ever. Like after Last Jedi, that was just like, oh god, is science fiction dead? And this writer from China said, no, Keith, let me wow you like a motherfucker. And he just obliterated my brain, and I fell in love with it. Experiencing it, and like once it kind of clicks, all of a sudden like you realize like, oh my god, across the globe, like other geeks also get it. So let me search about this, and I looked it up on YouTube, and I found a animated series. Just fell in love with it, rewatched it several times, and then met a friend. Her name is Raofu. She's in China, and we both have the same kind of passion for the animated series. She knows more about it. Like it might not be going on anymore because like the main producer was killed because of like jealousy or something. And yeah, it's a hard world over there. But yeah, through the kindness of her heart, she went to a Chinese website, found like this merchandise for the animated series that like few people know exists in the first place, and few people outside of China has ever touched.
Wait,
So she sent me. Yeah.
Is it that animated Minecraft series you love so
Yep.
much, or is it someone made merchandise of the Minecraft series?
Yes, but okay. So like the first season is Minecraft. Second and third season are legit CGI.
Oh, interesting.
So like what's beautiful about the series is like it first very starts off with aggressively ratchet. Like you're watching someone play Minecraft and act out scenes, which is admirable and beautiful. Even like just like recreating scenes like that, like all the work, and then like the camera work they have to put into it. So like I got into it because like all that work and how beautiful it was. But each episode just kept on ratcheting up the quality and like the scale of what they could accomplish to the point where like there's scenes in the book that were hard to imagine, dealing with like protons and supercomputers and whatnot. And they pulled it off in the animated in the Minecraft version even, and it blew my mind. Then like after that, they just went to using real CGI. They got a budget, and then the person who believed in them was poisoned and killed, unfortunately.
Wow.
So yeah, like it did blow up. Great CGI, and I've gotten figures. Oh, I think I have 2 blind packs of like figures from there. There's like this thing that's a stand that holds up this silver droplet, which is a thing that appears. It's a big deal thing in the book series, but like, yeah, it's just like this big box of like 3 body problem merchandise that like, who knows if anyone else has ever seen this before in America. It feels really good, and like just the kindness of having it sent to me was just an amazing experience. That, like years ago, you turn the page, and then years later, you're opening up a box. It just didn't expect to see.
Well, just wait until the Netflix series from the Game of Thrones guys comes out.
And Ryan Johnson.
Your favorite.
No joke. The Netflix, like all these ducks in a row of like, you know, how the worst way you can adapt anything. Netflix, the guys who did Game of Thrones, and Ryan Johnson, all involved.
Actually, Keith, I got a little bit of inside information about Ryan Johnson's involvement in that. Yeah. At the darkest moment in 3 Body Problem, Ray Skywalker is going to appear in Saul.
Oh my God. Yeah. Oh my God. Ray, 3 Body Problem fans will find this funny if I say that Ray Skywalker could beat a droplet. So wait, Matt, you did read it, right?
Yeah, I read it for sure.
Okay, cool. Then yes, she could beat a droplet with her bare hands.
No problem. Look, she can do anything, Keith. We all know that.
She's a dyad. That's right. That's how it works.
Yeah,
but yeah. Let's see. I think like that was just like a huge freaking deal for me. So I think I will stop there unless something else comes to my mind that I needed to talk about. But yeah, that's what I've been geeking on. Next up is MJ. We've been geeking on lately.
Wait! Before you go on,
wait.
What about Everything Everywhere All at Once? Did you not? Was it not good enough for you to make your geeking on policy?
Oh no! It definitely is. I just forgot, and like I also want to talk about Stranger Things. I didn't want to take up too much time, and then also like I figured someone else might bring it up. So Everything Everywhere All at Once was goddamn beautiful. It was a masterwork. Even though there's like a flaw at the ending, which is just a part of the DNA of like the movie itself, where it's trying to shove 3-act structures into like small universes that don't need to be revisited that much, but like you could tell they loved so much what they were doing that they just kept going. And yeah, that was a beautiful movie, and I continue to just freaking fall in love with and adore Michelle Yeoh. And also one of the butt plug guys is on my Facebook.
That's right.
So that was really cool to see, because like he was fucking killing it in that movie. Like him and his brother, they were just thunder killing it with their poses and like their moves, and like you could tell that they're like, holy fucking shit, I get to fight Michelle Yeoh. And then like there's like a behind the scenes video of them where they basically are saying, shit, I grew up watching her. And then like, yeah, like the sheer joy they got with like practicing moves with her. And I was just, yeah, that movie was fantastic.
I've always wondered if Michelle Yeoh regrets being a Bond girl, because that was not a good Bond movie.
Which one was she in?
The second Brosnan. Tomorrow Never Dies?
Maybe. I from what I could tell, she loved it. Like, you know, she got like that kind of Hollywood. You get treated like a queen. She already is a queen, and probably way easier and nicer than when she makes Hong Kong movies where she's freaking jumping on moving trains on a motorcycle. So I think she probably loved doing some Bondness. But do you guys remember when she was Michelle Khan? Anybody else remember Michelle Khan? Oh, okay. Like, I actually thought like it was common, but like I think it's becoming a rare, a little known fact about her. Where when she first started her cinematic career, she called herself Michelle Khan because it sounded more badass. And that's when I first met her in Heroic Trio and Heroic Trio 2, which to this day will pretty much blow your head clean off with the moves they pull off in there. But yeah, back then she called herself Michelle Khan. And yeah. What else everybody think of? What everybody else think about the Everything Everywhere All at Once?
No notes.
I thought it was absolutely brilliant. I think, like when people argue like the importance of diversity, this is the film that should be held up in the highest thing. I think in the culture war, this is kind of what annoys me so much. This is another point I was kind of interested to talk to you about. Is that a lot of it is that like this thing that exists needs to be changed to fit me because I have the loudest voice versus supporting like, you know, smaller creators and getting them to they get that opportunity to make it on that next level. And like, you know, I think this is like a big win. This is what people should be more supporting than like, you know, kind of, I don't know, Ghostbusters 2016 or the shitty Charlie's Angels reboot. I think it's the perfect strength of just sheer creativity on display, fun genre filmmaking that still has heart and resonant themes that plays to the sci-fi, but also the intimate and the personal. And I think it deserves everything that it's gotten. And then the fact that like there's already like some backlash showing turning against it just shows you it's that good.
What kind of backlash could ever happen?
Yeah, I haven't heard about that.
It's minor, but if you go on Twitter, you'll be like, "Oh, it's overrated" amongst like film Twitter circles. But like, I always think that that's when like you have something like is that good that it gets that kind of backlash.
Someone's got to say it.
Yeah, somebody, when it becomes that ubiquitous. But you know, I was telling you before, like Keith, you got to see this. You got to see this. It's really good, Keith.
Yes. And then what was funny was like. While I was watching it, it was just like, ooh, ouch. You kind of look back over at the Multiverse of Madness going, oh, man, is this what you're trying to do? Because, yeah, you might want to take some notes here, man. Like,
oh, my God, Multiverse.
Ouch.
That was the starkest thing about it. I mean, it was a Multiverse of Madness with heart. It was like everything that Raimi and the mouse forgot when they vomited out that movie.
How embarrassing for you. They just came out the same year. Like, like
people it's sad because I mean, Multiverse of Madness was a through and through Sam Raimi movie, and I loved every part of it for that. But as far as being part of the larger MCU, it was a train wreck.
Yeah, MCU
just
got
like a train wreck.
It was what we saw on screen was massive business moves of allowing her to take on different roles and get away from the MCU.
Yeah, it was definitely a mess because, like, on paper, it sounds like, oh my God, Doctor Strange. Oh my God, $200 million. Oh my God, Kevin Feige. And though, like, you know, they have like this huge breadth of like fucking Marvel stuff because now they own Fox and they have all this other crap. I want to see him in the Netflix universe. I want to see him in the X-Men 72. I want to see him in the Spider-Man animated series. I want to see him in the Super Friends. Oh my God, this is going to be so cool. But instead, you just got like the most rote and basic bitch story. There's a girl, and Doctor Strange has to save this little girl from demons.
Oh, I remember the very beginning of it when we had like the quote unquote evil Strange, like some of that dialogue. I was like, wait, is this actually the movie or is this like somebody's fantasy in the movie? Because this is so bad.
Here's a fun thing. The fun thing about the evil Strange at the end there, with the one that the Strange that we've known from all the other movies defeated so he could get the Darkhold so he could go back against Wanda.
Yeah.
That Strange, originally, Multiverse of Madness was supposed to come out before No Way Home. That was the way the scheduling was originally done. And then the pandemic came up and blah, explosion. Originally, that evil Strange from the end with the third eye coming out of his forehead, he was supposed to take the place of our Doctor Strange. And he was the one that Peter is supposed to go to in No Way Home to help him out of the problem.
That actually makes a lot more sense because everyone was talking about like, why is Doctor Strange acting so out of character? This does not feel like something Doctor Strange would do.
Because those was strains. Those were remaining strains from the original story arc they had going from Multiverse of Madness into No Way Home. But then the pandemic happened and it just blew up the production schedule from Multiverse of Madness. So they had to rewrite Multiverse of Madness and No Way Home so they could adjust for the new shooting schedule. And
That makes sense.
I read that a couple weeks ago, and that just like, oh my god, that would have solved so many of the stupid problems that Phase 4 has right now. Oh my god.
I have one other thing. Do we want to finish up on marveling? Because I got one other thing I do want to geek on, and I just remembered because yes, I did need to speak about Top Gun.
Oh,
right.
I still haven't seen it, but I hear it's as good as everything everyone says it is.
Yeah,
same.
holy shit! That was a grand slam out of the park that no one asked for, no one expected. I didn't believe people when they said better than the first, and everything. I apologize for overselling it, but like when I first saw the first trailer, I laughed with my buddy Jason so hard because we were like, bah! Oh my god, and like clearing tears out of our eyes, like I can't wait to watch this piece of shit. And then like all the reports started coming in. I'm like, all right, let's see it. And like it doesn't take a couple seconds before you're like, oh shit, we are doing this. Like the music kicks in, goes, and like like just like the first movie. And instead of like feeling like you're just doing a copy, you just feel like you're back into the future of the universe. They don't last Jedi it. Sorry, I had to say that. But like, yeah, you're feeling like the real actual progression of like Maverick, that world. The practical effects in there are off the fucking chain. Like a lot of like the shots of like the actors are actually in fighter jets, doing and they're not doing them, but they're like actually experiencing G forces, and like the layout of the story, the direction is a fucking grand slam. And if you can see this in the IMAX in the theater, make sure you do before it's gone, because this is one of those things that you do need to see in the theater. Like it was that good.
Yeesh.
Yeah, it was unexpectedly way better than expectations, let alone the first movie. I mean, I don't know if you've watched any of the last 3 or 4 Mission Impossible movies, but that's pretty much in the same vein that Cruise has had going with those last few movies, since he's kind of taken over that whole franchise and made it his thing.
Can I just say that, like, the Mission Impossible things I find is like the weirdest franchise, because like I don't think anyone, like, if you put someone at gunpoint on the street, they could tell you anything about like Tom Cruise's Ethan Hunt character.
Oh yeah,
about like what he makes it unique, but it's just become like this is Tom Cruise's like place where he's gonna do old fashioned Hollywood stunts. And that's what these movies are. They're not a story. It's just how many old-fashioned Hollywood stunts can we fit in to one single movie to keep the old 90s and 80s movie star tradition alive.
To his credit, when it comes to story, like I think with all the Mission Impossible ones, although I feel like I might not have seen the last 2, I'm not sure, but like they only had like one miss when it came to like a bad story. Other than that, I wouldn't say that I could describe Ethan Hunt's character other than he is basically Tom Cruise. But the story that they do are usually pretty fucking fantastic. And Tom Cruise is basically the new Jackie Chan.
The American Jackie Chan.
Yeah, like he's still going at like what Jackie Chan was once doing, and he's like 82, and he's still like going at it. It's pretty freaking wild. So yeah, Tom Cruise, like as much of what people think of him so far, I think he's only missed once with me, and like otherwise his movies have always been like always great.
What, The Mummy?
No. I'm not sure The Mummy was a complete miss for me. The complete miss that I hope I get to review with my buddy, a guy named John Humber, who directed Dakota Sky. He's an incredible director. He loves Eyes Wide Shut, and I thought that was more like the worst. That was one of the worst movies I've ever experienced. So
you're not a big Kubrick fan, huh?
I am, but that thing had no God. Okay, like it. Like I'll say that there's. When people say that things don't have a plot, usually they just mean that they didn't get it, they didn't like it. It was a simple plot, poorly written. Versus Eyes Wide Shut, where like just a whole bunch of stuff happens. There's no resolutions to anything. It's just like a whole bunch of scenes I saw, and it didn't add up to much. And then like the last shot is of like Tom Cruise like going back to bed, and I'm like, okay, no, that wasn't good. So I'm positive I'm missing something, but.
Yeah. Go figure, that was a Kubrick's epitaph. That was the last movie he made before he passed.
Yeah. Oh, damn, I'm not sure if he even did he finish it either, or did someone?
Yeah, he finished it. They just finished. I think they were in post production when Kubrick passed on that. But But yeah, no, the reason I brought up Mission Impossible because ever since Cruise picked up with Christopher McQuarrie, who's written and directed pretty much everything Cruise has done the last 7 years, that there's been this level of consistency throughout Cruise's work that it works for a solid foundation for his action spam that he likes to throw up on the screen. And as you know, you can make the case that Cruise is kind of self-obsessed with his own little empire that he has in his head. But you got to admit the results on the screen are pretty damn entertaining usually.
Yes.
So I got to give him that.
He rarely misses.
And you know, it's just amazing to me. This is the first $1 billion movie he's ever had. It's the highest grossing movie he's ever been in.
I'm very surprised. I'm very surprised it took this long for him to hit $1 billion.
Yeah, that is surprising because it's this Tom Cruise's rugged, like the one time he submitted to like a franchise with The Mummy, it like got him so badly burnt, and now he's just like, I'm gonna do it on my own with the old fashioned movies. And one thing I heard is that just like Top Gun just has a really solid story, just like a really tight story with great beats and great characters. And that's outside of like all the like practical effects and like, you know, filming in real jets and whatnot. That was another thing that kind of like it felt like they took their time versus just rushing through to get it out.
Imagine that working. So weird.
So because I'm petty like this, Top Gun Maverick needs to just get 10 million more and knocks The Last Jedi out of the top 10. Go Maverick, go. Go Maverick, go.
All right. Well, I'll go see it this week. That should
just let it go, man. The other thing I was going to mention about that, and I've talked about this with Keith before, there was an article that was floating around on Vulture about a month ago that proposed an alternate theory for the plot of Top Gun Maverick, where, Matt and Isaac, I don't know if you've actually seen the movie at all, or
I don't mind. I'd like to see it, but I don't care about spoilers. So any alternate takes, I'm fine with.
All right.
It's not really a spoiler movie either. Like it's like what you see on the screen, you get to experience it for the first. It's not like there's no twists.
True.
Yeah. Go for it.
So, this author posited the idea that when Maverick is flying the test aircraft that he's flying at the beginning of the movie, and he's, you know, it's a hypersonic test aircraft, and they're trying to get it up to Mach 10 because, you know, become the fastest man on Earth and all this stuff. This author posits that when the aircraft broke up or started breaking up after it hit Mach 10, that the rest of the movie was actually a death dream for Maverick. Because which actually kind of the only reason I gave it any traction is right after, because in the movie right after the plane breaks up in the sky and you're they have this beautiful midnight shot of the aircraft breaking up at high altitude and like, oh, that's so pretty, I hope nobody dies. Maverick comes walking into a diner and everybody just turns and looks at him while he slams a glass of water and is like, where did you come from? Kid's just looking at him like, you come from up there? Like he was an alien that just came down from space. And there was just some ethereal feel to that scene. It's like, something's off here. I can't put my finger on what, but something feels off. And then Ed Harris's Admiral character came in because supposedly this whole project was being funded by the Navy for the flights. And Ed Harris's character is just dressing Maverick down that he's a dinosaur, that fire jocks are on their way out and everything's being replaced by drones. And it just felt like this is the intake for Maverick's good place. The rest of this movie is just going to be Maverick living out all of his regrets and trying to come to terms with everything that he left unfinished in his life. And it's like, holy crap. I still have to go back and watch the movie with that as an overlay just to see how the movie plays out that way. But it's kind of a theory I've latched onto that's actually kind of interesting.
I would say, I definitely don't feel it's officially what's going on, but it is a great overlay. But also maybe subconsciously, like when older men get to a certain point in their lives, like they project what they want to see, which is like why Gene Roddenberry made The Next Generation. So Tom Cruise coming back to the heaven for Maverick kind of maybe kind of looks like that on the screen, if that makes sense.
Yeah, this is just because you consider how Hollywood some of the later scenes are in that movie. Like, wow, everything's coming up roses for Maverick here. Like,
He even gets to use. Okay, I won't say that part. What he gets to use. Anyway, yes, there's a lot of wish fulfillment going on in that movie, and it's the heaven for Maverick. But yeah, highly recommend anyone. If you can see it on IMAX, make sure you do, because like you will not get to experience what I saw like on your television. Although it will still probably be pretty fucking good.
Oh yeah, the sound and visuals in that movie are just fantastic for a theater setting. Absolutely.
All right, who's next for geeking? I talk too much.
Is it my turn or
yeah, I was actually saving you for last. I am going to do MJ first, unless you already said it. But MJ, what have you been geeking on?
Oh, what have I been geeking on? Well, just a little background. I'm not a gamer at all, so that's part of the reason why I listen to this podcast, is to listen on that aspect of the world that I really have zero visibility into. I find it fascinating, even though I don't actually game. Same thing with manga and anime. I'm pretty basic with that. I mean, Cowboy Bebop and Akira, yeah, I'm right there. But everything else, that's a whole new world to me. Mm-hmm. I'm mainly movies and TV shows and music. And lately, I've been doing a lot of trying to catch up on classic directors that I unfortunately have very little background on, having watched, like David Cronenberg, Terry Gilliam, even catching up on some Baz Luhrmann, because he just came out with this Elvis biographical movie, which is actually pretty decent, even though it's 2.5 hours of what the fuckery as far as visuals. But what's that?
2.5 hours of gyrating, classic Elvis.
Yeah, I don't know how steeped you are in Baz Luhrmann's movies, like Moulin Rouge and
Romeo and Juliet.
Romeo and Juliet. He came out with in the late '90s. Yeah, Strictly Ballroom, all that stuff. He's definitely of that stratum of Australian, New Zealand directors that like Taika Waititi and early Peter Jackson. You know, before Lord of the Rings. I don't know how many of his movies you saw before Lord of the Rings, but you would never guess it was the same director.
I'm curious,
very in your face, hyper. What's that?
What Cronenberg have you looked into? Like what? Yeah.
Oh, I'm embarrassingly out of touch with most of Cronenberg's filmography. I've seen Scanners and The Fly, and I only saw The Fly about a month ago.
Well, those are pretty good ones.
Yes.
He's got a new big joint coming soon, The Crimes of the Future.
Yeah, that actually just came out streaming. That's what kind of triggered me to finally get back into it, because before that, he was the guy I knew that did Scanners and did The Fly and has been on the last couple seasons of Star Trek Discovery. Like, who's this Cronenberg guy?
Wait,
yeah, I know.
I can't tell if you're joking or not.
Wait, he was actually like that. He like played a character on Discovery.
Oh, you guys didn't? Dr. Kovalik. Once Discovery got flung forward 800 years.
Yeah.
That really uptight guy who wears the suit and tie and
holy
glasses.
Shit!
That's David Cronenberg.
Holy, I don't think I've ever seen him before. And he's been just like walking around in front of me this entire time. Yeah, I do know that guy.
Yep, that is the man.
I did not think he acted.
Me neither, at all.
Cool. I had no idea. Also, I'm looking through his filmography right now. Number one, I had no idea he directed History of Violence. That's a surprise.
That surprised me too. The other ones I wanted. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Less of a surprise is Nightbreed.
Yeah.
I had no idea that he directed that. I love Nightbreed. It's such a weird fucking flick, but that's great. Anyway, yeah, you were saying.
Yeah, the other ones I want to check out of his Existence. I keep hearing how great that one is, and the History of Violence.
Years ago, and I hated it.
I was not a huge fan myself, but the attempt, the guy is a master. Like even his failures are pretty much like thank you for doing this.
I do agree with that. He's like one of those like unique directors that we have to celebrate every time he does something, even if it is a little bit of a misfire.
Yep. I was like, ugh, but I'm glad I experienced it. And like, dude went hard, like at what he was going for. So he
and like his Yeah, his latest one, Crimes of the Future, I really wanted to see that one because, I mean, it's Viggo Mortensen. I can't rarely go wrong with him. But just watching the trailer, I got such strong Transmetropolitan vibes off that. I don't know if any of you guys have read that series.
First volume, at least.
Parts of it. Yeah, that's also a great comic series.
You know, one I'm still actually kind of hoping will be adapted to screen sometime because that'd just be bloody amazing.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
Oh yeah, guy with the weird glasses.
Jerusalem.
Spider Jerusalem.
Yeah,
yep. The chair leg of truth. Yep.
I've read a little bit of that. Not enough. I think. Did you have that in your bathroom, Keith?
Transmetropolitan.
Yeah.
Yes, I
think
did.
that was some of your bathroom reading. Yeah,
it was. Oh yeah, embarrassingly, like my buddy like lent me that book, and I sat on that for like 2 years. I'm sorry, Josh, if you hear this, I'm sorry.
It's in Keith's
eventually got it back to him. I eventually got it back to him.
Oh, you did? Well, now he knows where it's been.
Like 3 years in my bathroom. Anyway,
I'm contaminating it now as we say this.
What else have you been geeking on?
Terry Gilliam. That was another director that I thought I had a fairly good insight into his filmography, but I'm woefully short on. I mean, I've seen the basics like 12 Monkeys, Monty Python, The Holy Grail, Fear and Loathing. I just saw The Fisher King this week finally, which is a fantastic movie. If you guys have never seen that.
What a crazy flick!
But I almost have to have my film watching cred removed because I haven't seen Brazil, I haven't seen Time Bandits, and I haven't seen The Adventures of Baron Munchausen. And that's embarrassing.
You talk with such shame, but like I think what you're doing is really impressive. Like I think it's a great thing to be like, screw all this. I'm going to go back to this great filmography and just catch up on all these great directors. It's something I feel like I should do, but most of the time I just like go to easy, lazy dreck just because I like easy, lazy dreck. But no, I think what you're doing is really commendable and impressive, and I applaud you.
Agreed.
And it also feeds into this other thing I've gotten into in the last 4 years because going back to the Mission Impossible I mentioned before, I didn't watch any of the Mission Impossible movies after Mission Impossible 2 because I hated that movie with a burning passion.
Mission Impossible 2 is really bad. That's the bad one. That was the bad one. Like, so and that was John Woo. To see, yeah, and that was the thing that really stumped me is it's a John Woo movie. Why do I hate a John Woo movie so much? I was ready. I was like, let's do this. And then like after it came out, I was like, I was embarrassed for John Woo. I was like, what happened?
Well, that was the same year that Tom Cruise came out with Magnolia, which is another, oh my God, shoot me movie. Apologies to anybody who likes everything of Paul Thomas Anderson's filmography. I just cannot stand
really
it.
People love that movie.
I absolutely love Magnolia.
I have not seen it. I just know it's like really held in high esteem in his filmography and in like film canon pantheons. I'm surprised you hate it so much.
Yep.
Well, why do you hate it?
To be fair,
I've never seen it.
But to be fair, I saw it during the period of my life when my early 20s when I thought I knew everything already, like we usually do in our early 20s.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
So I was being a snobby jackass more than likely. Yep. But that's one of those. It's one of those movies I keep meaning to go back to and revisit. So
that'd be interesting. I'd be curious, like what your thoughts are on it now, is with a revisit.
Yeah. Okay. I was going somewhere with that. I'm sorry. Anyway, let's see. Mission Impossible. So after when the latest Mission Impossible movie came out, I decided to finally go back and watch the rest of them because other people had talked so highly about the rest of the movies in the series. I'm like, all right, fine, I'll give it a chance. So I watched the rest of them, and I just ignore Mission Impossible 2 because the rest of them are actually pretty damn good. So from then on, at point in the last 4 years, whenever there's a major movie coming out that really interests me, I start watching all the previous movies in that series so I can get caught up on because usually I haven't seen them all. So like the Fast and the Furious series, I did that last year because that's just a roller coaster of what the fuckery left and right. But it's entertaining, and damned if you don't want to go to a cookout and just hang out with your family afterward. But so like this year with like building up to Multiverse of Madness, I rewatched all of WandaVision and rewatched the Doctor Strange and rewatched that What If episode, thinking maybe they might include that, but lo and behold, Feige gave us the finger on that one. And that led into with the Jurassic World Dominion that just came out. I actually went and saw that, and
what do you think of that?
In the pantheon of the Jurassic franchise, it was probably the third best behind the first movie and Jurassic World. It wasn't as bad as it probably would have been if I hadn't watched the previous 5 movies before I went and saw it. Because I'd never seen Jurassic Park 2 or 3 before I saw it.
Interesting. I was thinking. Sorry, I'll finish your thought.
I finally watched those, and I should have seen the early signs of Steven Spielberg's filmmaking abilities start to go on the decline when he spent 15 minutes of Ian Malcolm and his whole team trying to get out of that truck that was hanging off the cliff. I was trying to figure out why that scene was taking so long. It was a 15-minute scene of them trying to escape that and get away from the Tyrannosaurus Rex.
I'm positive because the way it was described in the book was so freaking iconic, and I have to imagine it took an insane amount of work. They put so much work into it. They're like, you're going to sit through every minute of this. You spent like months.
I'm sorry. I got to stop you there, Keith, because I have an interesting insight into that thing. So I went on like a Jurassic Park video binge on YouTube after seeing the most recent movie. I didn't like it, but then again, I think all the ones after the first one kind of sucked to different degrees. But
that's fair.
But I did hear this really interesting thing that apparently, so the first Jurassic Park came out, it was so successful that before Michael Crichton even wrote the book, Steven Spielberg just like went into like a cafe with like the screenwriter and a storyboarder and just came up with shit he wanted to see in the next movie. And chief among them was that the RV chase, the RV escape scene.
I apologize. I'm mixing up things. I'm old now. I was thinking of the first, for some reason, not the RV. That did suck a lot. I was thinking of like the first movie when like that one truck kind of chases them down the tree as they kind of try to climb out of it. So it looks like, yeah, like they're trying to top that and got too carried away and just stuck with it.
Well,
we're back in the truck again scene, right? That's what you're talking about.
I do, but I do remember. Now, maybe I'm old too, but like I do remember in the book, like that scene taking a long time. Now, I'm like not saying that it was great in the book or anything like that, but I do remember a huge focus on it, on them being.
It was a big set piece in the book where they have like the T-Rex thing. I think it played out a little differently, but you're right. That was like a major component of the Lost World book.
Yeah, it won't necessarily translate to film as well or anything, or who the hell knows. But it
should have been 5 minutes and done.
Yeah.
But then the rest of the movie happened, and like, okay, maybe we can go back to the truck hanging off the edge of the cliff now. But
anyway, turns out you didn't know how good you had it.
Although
Dominion, to its credit, if that was going to be the last movie, it's a good end cap to the entire franchise, and I hope and pray beyond all they don't make any.
Wait, would you say that Dominion ended in a way that could end the story?
Yeah, it was a good leave off point for the whole franchise. And
okay.
It's just the way they laid out the story elements, but at the same time, if you've watched all of the movies, you're still wondering what the hell happened to the other island that they had, the Isla Sorna, that Jurassic Park 2 and 3 took place on. Because the first movie and then the rest of like the fourth or fifth movie, the Jurassic World movies, they took place on Isla Nublar, and that was one that was destroyed by the volcano in Fallen Kingdom. But then they had the other island that supposedly all of the dinosaurs were created on, and then they were shipped over to Isla Nublar for the park. And they just never explained what the hell happened to Isla Sorna. It was just.
Do you feel like the people making the movies are just saying, "Don't worry about it. We're just stop thinking about it," or do you feel like maybe at all they do know and they might use it in the story at all ever again?
My fear is that they're going to use that as the lead-in to possibly reviving the franchise, in which case I'll speed bag them in the nuts if they do. Because just stop.
My take on. Go ahead.
Yeah.
You first.
Yeah, it's just the whole franchise is played out. They're really, even from Jurassic Park 2 on, you can tell it was really played out. The fact that they are able to squeeze water from the rock for the first Jurassic World movie was amazing. Was pretty much a feat unto itself. So I'll give him credit for that. But there's just nothing left to say or tell for that whole franchise.
My take on the franchise: that first movie, like I was there, jaws dropped. Holy shit! Like we can do this with technology now. And then like, yeah, all the sequels except for I'm one of those people again. I'm gonna the Suicide Squad this, but I actually like Jurassic World. I'm so sorry, I did it.
Well, I too. It's an entertaining movie. I'll give him that. Like I say, it was a good way to revive the franchise after 2 and 3 because 2 and 3 were just blah.
And the final direction I want things to end up in for this world is basically. Has anyone seen the cartoon Cadillacs and Dinosaurs?
I know of it.
It's really good once you find out that like you're in a post-apocalyptic world and whatnot, because the cartoon does nothing to set you up. Like, why is everything like this? They just jump right into it. But yeah, I've always wanted like a movie about like, you know, having to watch out for dinosaurs in your neighborhood or an attack or just like, you know, an infestation of dinosaurs on the planet and how we would survive that. Like, it sounds like so much fun to me. So,
although, can I just throw out this random thought though, since we're talking about Jurassic Park? I kind of wish Spielberg would do this before he like retires from directing, but like I think Spielberg would be a great horror director, and I kind of wish he did a straight up horror movie based on stuff he did in Jurassic Park and Temple of Doom, just when he decides to go mean. I think the world needs a pure Spielberg horror movie.
Yep. Yeah, no, I mean Spielberg is a fantastic horror film director. I mean, look at Jaws.
Yeah, exactly. And I wish he'd do another one.
And technically, Poltergeist is horror-ish. Oh, yeah. But it's kind of but Jaws is for me top 3 horror movies of all time. So I agree with you completely. No, that would be fantastic. I would love that.
Yeah, when Spielberg goes mean, like you don't forget those images ever the rest of your life.
I'd have to posit that maybe Spielberg about 20 years ago, I'd want to see that. But I don't know. At this point, it just feels like he's riding out the rest of the train here. He's like, I'll get a couple other things out of the way. And, well, can I do West Side Story? Cool, I'll do West Side Story. I don't know. After Ready Player One, I just kind of gave up on him.
That didn't even seem like a Spielberg movie. All right, okay. All right, let's not get too caught up. We got still a movie to talk about.
Right.
Sorry.
Yeah, real quick. Sorry, I kind of kept going on tangents here. For All Mankind. I don't know if you guys have seen that show, but I think it's fantastic. It's on Apple Plus. It's basically a series. The premise is that what would the world have been like if the Russians had beat the Americans to landing on the moon, and how the ensuing decades would have played out after that. And it's actually, and it's a what if show. It's actually ended up being pretty fascinating and pretty interesting.
How's the 3rd season where they're like going to Mars? I hear that's pretty interesting as well. And I saw clips of the 2nd season where they have like space marines on the moon, which was as like astronauts.
Yeah, because one of the main components is if the Russians had, sorry, kind of spoiler, is if the Russians had beat the Americans to the moon, that the show posits that the space race would still be going as strong 30 years later, rather than kind of dying out about the mid 80s when it, everybody's like, oh, look, space shuttles, who cares? The Soviet Union did not dissolve. The Cold War didn't end and all that fun stuff didn't end at the end of the 80s. And basically, with the space race continuing, actually accelerating technological advancements that we didn't see for another 15, 20 years after it's being portrayed in the show. So that's kind of like in the 3rd season, they're doing video conferencing while they're in space from the moon and from Mars. And how soon did we see video conferencing actually become viable in our timeline? Not till what, mid 2000s?
My friend, you just made a sale. I had no idea this concept at all, and this sounds fantastic.
Yeah, because the other hook for me was the fact that it was co-created by Ronald D. Moore of Battlestar Galactica and Star Trek Next Generation fame. So I'm like, okay, Ronald D. Moore's involved. It should be pretty interesting. Actually got me to respect Joel Kinnaman, because the only exposure to Joel Kinnaman I'd had before that was the first Suicide Squad movie, and nobody really looked too good after that movie.
It was really good. Like everybody kind of liked that one movie.
You're still fighting for it.
Forever and ever. So wait, For All Mankind is Ronald D. Moore?
Yep. Yes, it is.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I'm surprised you haven't been up to it.
The second season started leaning a little too hard on the drama aspect of it, which kind of dragged it down. And the second season really is a bit of a bridge season between the first season and the current season. But the third season's been really great. I'm not too fond of what they're doing with one of the main characters right now, and get the feeling it's going to lead to the exiting of one of the main characters. But we'll see how the rest of the season plays out. But
great
other than
recommendation.
that. Yeah, I know it's yet another streaming service you have to subscribe to and yada yada, but Apple Plus for some reason has been getting a lot of quality stuff in there between that and Mystic Quest and a few of the other shows they have in there. Yeah, Ted Lasso. Yeah, definitely Ted Lasso. The other one was the Umbrella Academy, which I'm still watching for some reason, just like the Doom Patrol or as I like to call them together, the Doom Umbrella Patrol Academy, because they're basically the same show.
Yeah, is it just my imagination, or did it take a bit of a dip with this season? Like right off the bat, I felt like something felt a little bit off with it. Well, maybe it's just me, but I'm watching it too, and I'm just not enjoying it as much as I did previous seasons.
Umbrella Academy?
Yeah, Umbrella
Doom,
Academy.
okay.
Well, it was great because the first season it pretty much felt like the Royal Tenenbaums with powers, which was entertaining unto itself. And then second season they got flung around in time. Like, okay, this is kind of neat, and because it's the whole reason of watching shows like that and Doom Patrol and even Legends of Tomorrow is you just love the wacky family dynamic that all these disparate characters come together with. They all have this simmering loathing for each other, yet they still hang on for each other because they care at some level for each other and still watch each other's back. I don't know why I find that so interesting, but I end up watching those shows all the time.
I've heard
awesome.
I've heard nothing but good things about Doom Patrol, but it doesn't feel as popular as Umbrella Academy. I tried watching a bit of the first season, but I kind of ducked out when it felt like I don't know, a typical Netflix thing where like things were being stretched out further than they were, and it was a little too hard with the "we're not your dad's superheroes, we're the quirky superheroes who have dance parties." But which one would you say is been more consistent, Umbrella or Doom Patrol?
More consistent. Consistency wise, I'd have to say Umbrella Academy.
Really, you don't
but
like?
But as far as the number of intriguing characters, maybe Doom Patrol, because I do like the arcs for some of the individual characters. I'm still trying to figure out how they've been able to keep Cyborg in that cast for all 3 seasons of what they've had going on. Because I keep waiting for him to jump over to the Titan show, but then that's a whole other train wreck I won't bother you guys with. Which is funny because Doom Patrol is a backdoor pilot off the first season of Titans. Like, okay, that's really weird to throw in randomly in the middle of Titans.
Do they? Yeah, I remember that. Do they continue to share a universe?
I want to say yes, but then you never know.
Okay.
Who knows what the hell they're doing at WB nowadays? But yeah, I really like the last season, this past season of the Umbrella Academy, but I really hope the 4th season, which is pretty strongly implied is going to happen, is their last one, because I don't know how much further they can carry it past another season. Kind of same thing with Doom Patrol. I almost wish Doom Patrol would wrap it up too, because there's only so much misery you can watch a whole group of people go through for multiple seasons.
Yeah, I'll definitely be checking out For All Mankind, and Doom Patrol I've been holding off for a long time. Umbrella Academy, I guess like at a glance, it just never really captures me, so I haven't tried yet. But all right, next person to geek on that. Yeah, go ahead, please. Sorry.
And the last thing,
yes,
I promise it's the last thing.
Please.
Been rereading the Sandman books before the Netflix series starts up, and hoping and praying. Still just fantastic as the first 4 or 5 times I read it. I know there are a lot of people that are like, "Oh, Neil Gaiman, he's so overrated." I love the way he wrote Sandman. I tried reading some of his other books, and his other books for some reason just never really hit me as well as Sandman did.
Yeah,
hoping and praying the show carries that through.
in the 90s, I gave it someone gave me Sandbag. It took my breath away. Like, I'd never read a comic on that level. So I'm glad to hear that it still holds up.
Oh man, we'll have to see what happens to Netflix. But that trailer does not look good, at least from what I've seen.
Right, and Gaiman's record for adapting his works to TV has been spotty at best. I mean, he kind of leans on needing a good cast to really carry it through, because for whatever reason, the story just does not translate to the screen as well, like Good Omens or American Gods or what have you. But my fingers, eyes, and toes are crossed.
All right. Isaac, what have you been geeking on?
All right, what have I been going through? Recently, I was watching that Bastard on Netflix, which, the anime adaptation of the old manga Bastard.
Mm-hmm. I remember.
It's not very good, but
I was going to say, it would be insulting. I was like, yeah, I remember for a long time. I've been seeing it forever. It just looks so aggressively generic anime that I just couldn't try. And then I saw people getting excited for it, so I did try. But so yeah, what do you feel about it?
I mean, I think it's as good of an adaptation of subpar material as you can get. I guess I'm just marveled by the fact that something where you got this obnoxious hair metal guy who's roping fantasy girls left and right, and that actually made it on Netflix in 2022. So that impresses me, even if I don't think it's the storytelling's particularly great. Mm-hmm. And I do appreciate the 80s schmaltz, which is fun and interesting, but I would not say it's good. not by any stretch of the imagination, but it's schlock. I'm making my way through, and I like schlock. I probably should do what your other buddy here is doing, is see all the great works of Stanley Kubrick I've yet to see, or the Cronenbergs. But at the end of the day, sometimes I just like dumb McDonald's schlock, which is what Bastard is. And
you get something from art, whatever you need to get, you get it. So
yeah, exactly. And I am a purveyor of trash. I am a panda sometimes, where I like going through the refuse. I also saw Stranger Things 4. I thought was mostly pretty good. I do think it was extremely fucking self-indulgent, and to me it felt like they kind of had the realization that, oh fuck, we gotta end this. So to me, a lot of it feels like shit they should have done in the second or third season of introducing a sub-antagonist before introducing the Mind Flayer and working your way up to him. It also feels like an idea that they should have done where each season was kind of a riff on a new horror movie concept, only explained through the Upside Down. So here we've got Hellraiser / whatchamacallit, Freddy Krueger through the Vecna, and I think it's really fun and really well executed. And I think the episode 4 moment, the running up that hill, is peak cinema, or it's a great example of getting your sci-fi concept and your narrative to line up perfectly with the music as she's running away and she's the vision of all their friends. But then you also have shit like the entire Hopper storyline. Which I despise. I just think it's cartoony, and I think Stranger Things works best when it feels, hyper stylized but realistic, or it feels believable. But the idea that he's breaking his ankles to get out of locks, and he's not horribly crippled, and it's just this really schmaltzy, really over the top action sequence that just feels so out of place. That just you love these characters, you love whatchamacallit, Gwyneth Paltrow, or Winona Ryder and Hopper so much that you'll love the fun gimmicky Russian guy, and you'll also love this other guy.
How much they force to keep them on screen? They just work so hard to keep them on screen, and every time the Hopper stuff would appear, my eyes would narrow.
It was just I wish they would rein it in, because Jesus Christ, it does not work. It is just this ultimate excess of money and just being. It just feels like this weird vanity thing that does not need to exist at all.
I saw a quick interview with some of the actors, the two of the kids, and they're saying yes, please kill some of us off, please. There's too many of us. But the thing I've been noticing through the years, looking at behind the scenes stuff, is how much actors seem to experience like a property like they're playing D&D. It's like, they care about the character and they do get kind of hurt if like that character's killed off. So I think like everybody looks like they're such family and happy with each other that I feel like they're too scared to do it.
Well, yeah, and I think that is also. It was funny. I think I saw that interview with Millie Bobby Brown when she's like, "Kill some more people off," and they're right. They keep on like this. Something like Stranger Things works because it feels like the characters, there's stakes, and the characters are believable, and when you hurt them, you like them more. So you need to hurt them, and when you've got like this cast of like unkillable characters who are now trouncing to the Upside Down like they're going to Radio Shack. It just makes that there's no stakes. So I was very pleased when they break Max's arms. But I'm also like wondering the portal to the Upside Down, the portal to Hell's open. Why is everyone acting like another crazy disaster in Hopkins versus like the world altering event that it's supposed to be?
Probably government cover up, but like there's supposed to be a time jump after this ending. So I really hope they really do actually lean into, so what does the world do when they actually know that demons and hell are real?
Yeah, exactly. Like I when like, ooh, Robin's having a mute cute with the lesbian at the AIDS center. I'm like, did we just forget the fact that you have the entire goddamn thing open? This is the worst case scenario. You are not equipped to deal with this. You only have one superpower girl. She can't fix it. You are fucked. You are fucked. You are fucked.
They know that like they're a little too aware of their plot armor. Like the that they would just go to Russia to save Hopper from a prison, like not have like a special forces. No, we're the main characters. We could do it. Or how about like we gotta save Levin from like an unfindable government institution? Sure, yeah, let's just drive in that direction. All right, and you're like, okay, I guess you guys are the main characters, so whatever.
Also, one thing I hope they don't do in the final season, because like they made it very obvious that like Will's gay when he's like crying when he's like tells Mike that he's the heart and he's in love with him. Mm-hmm. I just hope they don't have a scene where like he comes out to Mike and he says, I feel so isolated. It's like I'm a stranger thing.
Oh my
god.
No, the stranger thing is that hair on Will's head. How can they have that god awful bowl cut on the kid for every bloody season?
Yeah.
Oh, the poor kid.
That's also it's horrible. What? How? It's distracting. It's actually incredibly distracting.
Yeah, because they're trying to maintain the cartoon nature of these characters. Like each person has their own silhouette that they have to keep up through the seasons.
Oh, also, can I just say, like, I have a theory that, like, they divide the groups by acting ability. Like, the A team is, like, the Steve, Nancy, Dustin. B team is 11. C team is Hopper and Winona Ryder. And then the D team is Will and Finn Wolfhard, who just seem like they're kind of like the worst performers.
I noted that, too. And I don't remember being like particularly noticing Finn Wolfhard's acting in previous seasons, but this one, I don't know what the hell's going on. It was a little awkward.
I've never figured out the love affair with Finn Wolfhard because he was in the last Ghostbusters. He was in what else has he been in? It's like why does everybody love putting this kid into everything? He's not that great. Sorry if you're listening, but I'm not a fan. Sorry.
I think the Stranger Things hit really hard culturally, and like now he's a visual touchstone to that kind of joy and pleasure. So
he is actually,
if you want to make sure you get that kind of fun with like a ghost and a Wolfhard.
He was in 2 80s themed music videos. 2. One for Ninja Sex Party, Danny, Don't You Know? And very 80s themed. It was about the Danny Sexbang, the main singer in the 80s. And then another one, Weezer did their cover of Take On Me, and very 80s themed, and that also had Finn Wolfhard in it. So he's like become this the kind of like youth touchstone for the 80s. We'll see how much longer that lasts.
It's not going to last very long because I thought it was very noticeable that, like, I don't know, maybe like what he was doing really worked for like an 11-year-old, but his acting ability didn't quite increase like Millie Bobby Brown's. Also, they did my poor boy Matthew Modine dirty. They did him so fucking dirty.
Oh yes, yes they did. That was
They like give him a redemption arc, then he like arbitrarily kind of changes sides, just to like throw in a little conflict. It's like, oh come on, can't you just have him be like a good guy or whatever and have him sacrifice himself? Why does he have to be like an evil guy who like wants to suppress 11? Why does he have to be a blocker for this obnoxious military action sequence? But
the first part of Stranger Things, I was amazed by how good it was because I thought the season before this was shit. And they came hard to me this season with like great directing, tight writing, and then the next part, like all that stuff. And it wasn't bad actually. It didn't fall apart to me. It's just like a lot of like a little more iffy things start popping up by the end.
Yeah, I mean, oh sorry, yeah. Go ahead.
No. Finish your thought, then I'll go with mine.
Oh yeah, well, it's kind of going back to what you were saying earlier about how indulgent it was. That last episode is 2.5 hours. It's like longer than most movies. That was bananas. I don't understand why they couldn't just cut it up into multiple episodes. I don't understand. But that said, yeah, overall, I really loved it. There was no point that I was watching this season of Stranger Things and said like, I'd rather be watching something else, or I never really got bored. It's still enjoyable as hell. Like and I was sad when it was over. So yeah, always looking forward to more Stranger Things until I'm not.
Overall, I'd still say I really enjoyed the season. It had a lot of great moments. I just wish the Rousseau brothers learned a little restraint and maybe use the Duffer brothers. Don't get the brothers confused. I wish they had a little bit, tiny bit more restraint and didn't throw their $30 million per episode at like dumb, useless things. But like the highs were high, and I don't deny them. Like I love that episode 4. I can't get the running up this hill out of my head, and I even love the montage where all the threads come together. And even as cheesy and dumb as Hopper picking up like a medieval battle sword to kill the Demogorgon, it was still cool.
Yep,
and
which was
not
actually
just
the Conan sword. Yeah.
Yep, the actual Conan sword prop.
What the
hell
fuck?
Yeah.
Can someone explain to me why that's like hiding in a Russian prison?
But that's another story, is what they'll probably say. A story for another time, as we would say.
Thank you, Maz Kanata.
Thank you.
All right, so I know we want to get on to the main event, so I'll try and be quick and sufficient. Also watching Miss Marvel, which I mostly enjoyed. I thought it did a really good job of like showcasing East Asian Muslim communities. I thought the family was great. I thought she was really good. But, God, the ending just pissed me off. So, spoilers for Miss Marvel if anyone cares, but I don't think these are huge spoilers. That's a whole other sack of worms, which I will get to and I have issues with. Okay, so the Miss Marvel finds out that she has like superpowers because they're like this djinn people who come from the Nord dimension. Okay, that's fine. Multiverse of madness, multiple Marvel universes. They want to get home, and if they get home, that'll create bad shit. The only problem with that is the villains suck. They're just kind of like, I want it back. And they're just like, random people with weapons. So they don't have any cool abilities or anything. The main villain of the Clandestine basically gets Raiders of the Lost Ark by the episode before the last one. She like dissolves into a skeleton. So I'm watching this and I'm thinking, okay, what the fuck? You got one more episode to do. Who's going to be the villain? What the fuck is going to go on? How are you going to resolve this if you just like got rid of your main villain? So what happens is, for some reason that's not really particularly well explained, her power or something transfers to her son, who's a good guy, and also a potential love interest for Kamala Khan, Miss Marvel. But then he's like running
on the show.
Yeah, there's like 3 of them. The girl's got her little harem. Ooh, who's she going to go for? Is it the boring white science kid who's her best friend and really hoping that she'll finally notice him in a romantic way? Is it the dreamy guy with the really cool British accent? Ooh, or maybe it's the flirtatious guy with the red scarf who's adventurous and also into superheroes. Ooh, who can it be? I can't wait to find out. Love triangles ahoy!
fantasy, I want to sign
You
up.
gotta have a ducky in the story, man. You gotta have a ducky.
So I didn't necessarily have a problem with that. I think it fits the material, it fits the vibe. What my problem is, like, so the British one of the love interests gets these random powers, and he's like, "Oh God, it's tearing me out! It's exploding!" Excuse me. So they show that like the powers are bad. He can't control them. They're dangerous to other people. But then the storyline is like damage control's after him, and they're like, "Oh, we got to get him away from damage control." But I'm like, "No, get him to the scientists. Get him to people who can help. Get him to government officials. He can't control his power. He's a walking bomb." So that kind of loses my sympathy, and they have this whole big thing where they have like a Home Alone thing with a. One second, let me just get a drink of water as I get into my big rant.
Sure. Hey. What?
Now to the big stuff. Now to the big stuff. So they're having like this Home Alone battle in the school where like the evil damage control agents are they're invading the mosque. They're being invasive. These are like the ACAB bad guys, I guess. But it's like this guy can't control his powers. So why am I supposed to be rooting for him to get away from people who could potentially help him?
Right.
And then they have like this whole big fight scene where he like kind of goes evil and he's like, I can't control. And he's like lashing out and he almost like knocks a car into people and people are rooting for it. And I'm like, well, why am I supposed to want to root for this guy? What, like, and they have like this Spider-Man moment where like damage control wants to seize Miss Marvel, but then all the people get in the way. And then even some of the cops do because they realize she's good. But like, she's fighting against, she's supporting this guy who's obviously a danger and even visibly almost gets some people killed, who gets into conflict with her and helps him escape. Why am I supposed to root for this? Why couldn't you just give her like a traditional villain? Like I'm all fine for like Raimi cheese and like having like a cheese where like everyone's like supporting her and gets behind her, but like just give her like a D-list supervillain to fight. Just give her like a regular narrative. I think it would have worked much better.
So
well, say that for the Marvels movie, man. Come on.
So the main fight was the damage control people are doing the right job of trying to stop a kid from destroying himself and everything, and they're treated as the bad guys.
Yeah, that was my reading of it. That's what it felt like to me. Like that they want, but like the idea is like they're kind of like they want to imply that they're kind of racist, but they're not full all the way. Like there's this one season where like the evil woman. It's very similar to a WandaVision where they had like the military and that evil military guy who's like a straight white guy. And it's like, but like most of the time you're like, yeah, that's pretty reasonable. She has everyone under control.
I remember like arguing with people on my Facebook about it. I was like, no, they're right. She is taking a city hostage. You can't just like be cute with that.
Yeah, like I know that the show wants us to sympathize with Wanda and think that he's the bad guy, but like I think the circumstances dictate that she's in the wrong here.
There's some weird storytelling like that has like iffy morality where like wait the evil person you're portraying as evil is right. Like there's like this moment in Captain Marvel, where like she's going over things like these misogynist men are mean to her, and then like the moral she's got to stand back up. But like one of the quote unquote bad men is like her father, who's like telling a little kid who's on a go-kart to slow down so she doesn't hurt herself. And then like she doesn't listen, pedals to the metal, and fucking almost kills herself. And you're like, no, he was right the entire time. Like, please don't kill yourself. Anyway, this is like weird stories elements I see in like stuff lately where like the person is portrayed as bad, but no, if you're a kid that can take out a city block, you do need to be taken care of. Like you just can't go off by yourself.
Yeah, and I just like was not rooting for him, especially when they gave him like kind of quasi villainous moments.
Mhm.
And it's like this big like fuck yeah, go Miss Marvel, take that evil ACAB cops and evil government for surveilling Muslims. And I just feel like there's a much better way you could do that. Well, one thing really interesting about Miss Marvel is Keith, did you see that interview with the Critical Drinker and the directors of like the first and last episode?
I did not sit all the way through it, but I should.
It's really, really interesting. And there's one really interesting insight.
Because I feel like I did hear a couple of good insights. What did you hear?
The thing that really stuck out to me, and I really enjoyed the interview, I thought it was a great meeting of the minds, is that Critical Drinker was like, oh, well, the story's not, this is just all fluff and boring. When's the thing gonna come on? And they're like, dude, it's slices of life stuff. That's what the show's about. That's what it's supposed to be. And I agree with them. But then the Critical Drinker pointed out something that I think is like a key to sort of like that a lot of progressive stories are missing. Mm-hmm. And one of the reasons why people love manga so much is that he's like, I want to see the hero go through a hardship. I want to see them tortured and bruised a little bit because if you think about it, Iron Man gets thrown into Afghanistan or Vietnam and has to build his way out of it. Peter Parker has to lose Uncle Ben. And that one thing that those characters have that Riri Williams, Miss Marvel, Miles Morales, well, maybe not Miles Morales, he is a dead person, but then again, he's supposed to be a Spider-Man analog, have that the old ones don't, is that they're not as tortured as much. So
yeah, it's like the old hero, no, I guess they're old heroes. The old heroes, they get their power through, torture. Like something horrible happens so that they have to rebuild out of that dark situation and therefore create their superpower versus Ms. Marvel, who is a magical chosen one, and all she had to do is open up a chest, and now she
puts on a bangle, and then she gets hard light powers. Great, fantastic.
Did you say she's from another dimension with Jinn powers?
So her family is descended from people who are from another dimensions and have Jinn powers.
That's awesome. That is a great idea.
Well, it's a great idea until they fucking retcon it within 5 minutes of the teaser at the end of it.
Oh, yeah.
What do you mean? How do they retcon it?
Her scientist white friend comes up and says, hey, there's something different about you that's different than the other thing I found out about you. It's like you have a mutation. And then they play like a Pakistani sting for like the X-Men theme from like the cartoon.
Ugh.
Yeah, kind of like when Professor X came out in Multiverse of Madness and they played that little tidbit of the X-Men theme. They did the same thing for Kamala.
She's a mutant and she's got magical bracers? And she's from another dimension?
Here's the thing, and I think that's actually kind of pans into how suddenly Kamran got his powers after his clandestine mom was eliminated in the episode before. In the comics, Kamala's an Inhuman.
Okay.
And, there's been the whole battle. And, now with the MCU, they're trying to hinting that maybe you're a mutant. This kind of goes back to the larger corporate narrative where Disney and the comic books have been trying to figure out, like the Marvel Television versus MCU battle that's been going on for years until Marvel Television got destroyed. Because remember, about 5 years ago, Inhumans were the thing. They had they had the Inhumans that were going to be a movie. Then they turned into a series. Then they were featuring the Inhumans heavily in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And Disney was getting so pissed off at Fox that they couldn't get the rights back for the X-Men that they started de-emphasizing the mutants from the comic books. And they started,
can I add
kind of replacing with Inhumans.
Can I add something to that? Sure. This story is so interesting. So Ike Perlmutter, who still owns Marvel, he's like this Israeli billionaire, and he's like a really petty motherfucker. So he literally he's like, fuck Fox. We're not going to promote their shit in our books. So basically, Inhumans were propped up to basically serve as like the X-Men for like a number of years until everything got consolidated.
I remember this because I'm a huge Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. fan, and I watched it happen there. Like, oh, interesting. And I was actually kind of wanting it to happen because having the Inhumans become a big deal in the MCU instead of all the interesting sideways remixes you could do with the stories using Inhumans that we don't know about. That to me, that would have been very interesting. But yeah, it looks like now that they have mutants back, they're turning the Inhuman into a mutant. So
what's your theory about?
They're actually it seems like they're de-emphasizing the humans again just because the show bombed. Of course, that's what happens when you get Scott Buck to run anything. Look at the last 2 seasons of Dexter. That guy is such a lousy piece of crap. I'm sorry.
No.
Hopefully, if I ever meet him, oof. Anyway,
what else do you do
that
you hate? Really quickly, like who's Scott Buck? Why is he a bad guy?
Guys, it was the Human series, the last 2 seasons of Dexter, and the first season of Iron Fist on Netflix. He was in charge of all 3 of those.
Oh wow, that's a great resume.
I challenge anyone to defend any of those, even though Dexter is probably the least offensive of the 3. But anyway, so now that they're de-emphasizing the Inhumans, the way that they kind of had the powers for Kamran get passed to him, it almost like they swapped out him being exposed to one of the crystals. I forget what the crystal's called that turn the
Terrigen Mist.
Inhumans.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, the Terrigen Mist. It's almost like he was exposed to the Terrigen Mist, and they had to write it out. And they're like, "Well, how's Kamran supposed to get his powers and be the wild, uncontrollable thing that we have to deal with in the last episode?" Well, let's just have his mom magically pass the powers on to him. It's just when she dies, it just automatically remotely activates his powers. And it's like, what the hell are you guys doing? It just smells like it's more leftovers from the Inhuman origins, because even Kamala in the comics was actually an Inhuman, and then now she's a mutant because they've got the Fox rights. And it's like, will you guys stop letting the corporate BS dictate your characters? Come on.
Because oh god, that's a mess. Because I was gonna say that idea that she's her family crossed over from another dimension, that is fan-fucking-tastic. Then you're like, and you're also a mutant. Like, wait, guys, wait. Are we saying like mutants can exist in this world? Are they only from that dimension? Do you guys care? Or are you just throwing stuff out there? Whatever.
Yeah, and
this phase.
Yeah, I read an interview a couple days ago where they actually threw that mutation line at the last minute while they were filming the final episode. So that wasn't even planned at the start.
It was a bad idea.
Yeah, it's like, you guys get your arms around your property again. I mean, ever since the end of Endgame, it's just like you're just spaghetti chucking and just seeing what sticks. Knock it off.
I do hear Kevin Feige is not as focused or on has like I think a chunk of his focus has been lately on trying to make a good Star Wars movie.
Maybe. I mean, the guy's doing a billion things, so it does feel that way. Because, like, I'd say the show's a high 7 to a low 8. I thought most of it was like really enjoyable, very charming.
Yeah, I
but
agree.
Like that thing just bugged the fuck out of me, and it was like such an easy slam dunk. Just have Bartrock the Leaper come and do racist shit in Jersey City, like just like pull something from your grab bag, and I think it would have worked just fine. But like, I just felt like it was trying to have its cake and eat it too, and just kind of like had everything like crumble a little bit to an annoying degree. And I hated the mutant thing. It just makes all the backstory, which was kind of cool. It was funny. Keith was kind of interesting. He's like, "Oh, that's so cool and interesting." And,
Let me ruin it for you. Let me ruin it for you really quickly. All right. Oh, dude. Yeah, this couldn't stop. This couldn't stop. Like, and also she's and also she's a herald of Galactus, and then she's also, guys, please.
Yeah,
it was a nice bounce back after Moon Knight, because Moon Knight landed with a thud, and it's like, okay, I'm this close to just quitting on the MCU shows. But then, yeah, Miss Marvel, it was not written for my generation, I guess you could say, and I kind of understood how they went about with the narrative. But like Isaac pointed out, it's a great slice of life show, and I enjoyed it for that.
Yeah, it accomplished exactly what it needed to do. It made the family fun and relatable. It made me more interested in Pakistani culture than I would have been otherwise. And I think it hits those things, and it's got those like kind of cute superhero moments in the social media age. I just wish it had like just stick to the fucking basics. You're doing everything else pretty well.
Like Marvel, and like they have now hit the mill so hard that I can't give them my time every time, especially like, too many failures in a row. Like with Falcon and Winter Soldier, Wanda, and now they're like, now watch Ms. Marvel. I'm like, hey, I don't even like that fantasy. What are you guys doing? Like, don't worry about it. Just watch it. Like, you know what? I'm out. I'm not gonna. If I hear it's really great, I'll tune in. But I'm gonna watch my Sukaban Deka show from Japan, where this girl's a secret agent and she's a high schooler, and then she fights all these other bully high school Japanese chicks who throw needles at people. Yeah, I'm trying to explore fun creativity. I don't like that Star Wars and MCU seems to feel like they always have a spot, no matter what they do.
All right, so I know that's a great segue to Thor: Love and Thunder. So let me just get my two really positive things I'm geeking out on, and then we can get to that. I'll be quick, or I'll try to be quick. Although, as much as I love these discussions, One Piece, I'm super excited. Oda is about to debate the final arc. He had this great announcement where he says, I've always wanted, when I was young, to draw the most hype finale. Now I'm going to start it. So next week, chapter 1054 comes out, and that is the official beginning of the final saga. And I couldn't be more excited. And right now I'm looking at this thing called Road to Laugh Tale. And basically there are all these like sketches and storyboards that he cut out from Wano, which I think are super fun to look at. Because it's like looking at like I'd say arguably the greatest comic creator living today, and I am so pleased to be able to be here towards the finale and see Oda, literally rip the title from Batman and Superman as the greatest selling comic as he marches his way towards like 600 million things sold.
Go, man, go! Like I don't exaggerate when I say that. I really do think it's maybe the greatest story I've ever seen, maybe the greatest story ever told. I think that he should be remembered as much as like Homer himself, themselves, because might have been several people. Anyway, to me it's like the Iliad of our era. Is how good I see it.
It has been going strong, and I hope that like Oda has the strength, because it's sad. There's a lot of tension. The manga community lost Kentaro Miura, the creator of Berserk, last year. That was a huge blow. Berserk is continuing, but it hasn't been bad, but I have like anxiety about it.
I didn't know Berserk was continuing, and
yeah,
didn't get hands. Like,
do
they have the notes of what's supposed to happen?
Here's the deal. It's being done by his studio of assistants that he's been training, Studio Gaga, that he's been training to continue to Berserk or do art on his par. And also like his best friend, who's also a mangaka, who he apparently helped him with like pivotal things like the eclipse and other moments. He supposedly told him his outline for how it was going to end, and he's the guy who's kind of like writing it. So I'm hopeful. I'm glad that we'll get to see an end. There have been 3 chapters since his death that have been released, and they look on par with what he does. Although I have a few issues that like have me a little worried, but but like those things are like a wake up call. That and Togashi with Hunter x Hunter are kind of like an indication that like for Oda that he has his own mortality, and I think he knows if I do one thing, I'm finishing up One Piece. I've seen my contemporaries like Masashi Kishimoto, like manga destroyed him to the point where he can't even draw anymore.
Oh, what did he do?
He did Naruto.
Oh my god.
Yeah, but like after he did Naruto, he could not draw. He did another series called Samurai 8, and his assistant did all the artwork for that.
What about Boruto?
That's done by another one of his assistants, and I think he contributes notes to it. Sometimes he like gives supervising direction, but no, he doesn't draw it. You can tell the artwork's much shittier than he was in his prime. It's weird. And like you have these examples of like these long running guys, and what I love about manga, I think it is the most brutal creative profession.
Yes.
And if you go through it, you become a god. You become one of the greatest storytellers because you were just like. Again, every week, again and again, you got to keep them engaged. You got to keep good story arcs. You got to build upon it. You have to have something that's good in the short term, but also good in the long term. And I just think that like the people who can make it through that are some of the best of the best. And which brings me to my final thing I'm geeking out on. Chainsaw Man! Tatsuki Fujimoto, the GOAT, the goddamn Quentin Tarantino of manga world, one of the greatest manga to arrive on the scene, still under 30 years old, an absolute god of creation. Not only did he relaunch his, start Chainsaw Man back up again, and he had a great, brilliant pilot chapter, didn't miss a step. It hit, I was just loved to see like the chapter get like 3 million views and people memeing on it, people making fan art of the characters like literally minutes after they come up with a great gag, a brilliant gag, just like Fujimoto at his game. And not only did he do that, he also released like an 18-page one-shot where he had like someone else do the art, and he let this like newcomer showcase themselves. What a absolute mad lad! What a pimp master! Like I don't know what's more pimp, the fact that like he just keeps on making these brilliant one-shots just for the love of the art, or the fact that he's propping people up because, you know what, I just have this one funny joke that I want to tell in 18 pages, and the fact that he was able to like tell that joke in 18 pages just goes to show that he is goddamn brilliant. And I'm so excited that Chainsaw Man is back. I am so excited that this fucking manga, which doesn't even have an anime yet, is like taking over the internet to the point where he got like a deal with like a fashion brand to like produce fucking jewelry for Chainsaw Man, which is insane. That like he has so much influence and so much sway, and you guys you don't know what you're waiting for. Just when that anime hits this fall, oh boy, it's gonna destroy. It's gonna just be like this. It'll quickly become the thing that people hate because it becomes so ubiquitous and overexposed. But you know what? The guy deserves it. He's a brilliant artist. I wish I could like walk into his studio and talk to him. I wish I could give him $10 million to make a movie and see what he does. I just think he's like one of the best guys working today, and I am so glad that I got to catch him towards the start of his run and see him go from like making something I absolutely despise to something I absolutely love that has just grown in estimation over time.
That was a great rant.
Indeed.
Yeah,
and
that was impressive.
Chainsaw Man is going to be taken care of by Madhouse Studios, who did One Punch Man and
not Madhouse, Mappa, but Madhouse. They're basically the Mappa. Well, no, I don't think Madhouse exists anymore, but I know Mappa's the one who's handling the Chainsaw Man adaptation, which is still really good because Mappa's been on fire lately. They did the really great Jujutsu Kaisen adaptation. They also did the last season of Attack on Titan. They've been doing really great stuff, almost as good as the True King, the UFO table, the Demon Slayer. But I'd say Mappa's a really good second place, and if it's the anime is as good as what they were able to do in Jujutsu Kaisen, I think it'll destroy everything.
Co-production between Mappa and Madhouse, but you feel Madhouse might not be around anymore?
I need to research it. I thought that they didn't exist anymore, and that like because I remember there's this really tiny little guy who just loves making anime, and he was like the founder of Madhouse. And I saw him at Otakon because he always comes to Otakon a couple of years ago, and I remember hearing he left Madhouse and created Mappa. But I don't know. Maybe, I could be wrong. Maybe I need to research it soon. But I just hope, like, the fact that it's taken so long for the anime to come, just knows that they know they need to do it right. They need to do it justice. And I cannot wait to see Chainsaw Man destroy the world.
October 5th, it looks like.
Ooh, does it have a release date? Because officially it doesn't have one yet. Just like the fall.
Wait, no. Look, I'm reading it wrong. It's something else. Anyway, yeah. So, it might come out this fall.
Yeah, it's supposed to, unless it gets delayed. But if it gets delayed, you know what? Take your time. I want a masterpiece.
Yep. I'm in no rush for great things. All right. Anything else, man?
That's it.
All right. Then we're gonna be taking a break. And we'll see you guys on this.
Two quick nuggets, if I may. I want to follow up to Stranger Things.
Mm-hmm.
You guys noticed the three names that Vecna had in the...
Yes.
Vecna Henry 1.
I know.
Did you notice that makes the acronym VH1?
Oh my God. Is that intentional?
Vecna Henry 1.
Is it intentional, do you think? Or
it has to be.
I'm wondering. But And also the other nugget. Did you guys know that the predator species actually has a name canonically?
Yacha?
Yacha, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I never knew that till this week.
In the 90s, I was fucking huge into. I read like the novels, comic books, and just like, yeah, I love those guys.
What's your over under on the new Predator movie, the Predator Prey? Keith, what do you think of the trailer for that before we end?
My fingers are crossed. Like so far, I like the director a lot, so he hasn't failed me before. It's just so, like the way it looks, though, like with how fiction has been lately, I'm just kind of like, But once again, I liked his Cloverfield movie and Dan Trachtenberg. I like him, so my fingers are crossed.
So cautiously optimistic, hoping it's good.
Yep. It's not getting a theatrical release, so that lowers expectations.
That's a warning sign.
But yeah, I'm hoping it's like a small scale surprise is what I'm kind of hoping for. And one last thing on Stranger Things, do you guys know that Vecna is like an official like thing in Dungeons and Dragons?
Sure. Really?
Yeah,
I did not know that.
Start Dungeons and Dragons. It started like in the last few years. They've been kind of like going, hey, just so you know, we do have an official multiverse. Like, you guys want to check this out? But like Vecna is like early like 90s. Like first he was an eye and a hand, and there are items you can find.
Yeah, that's how I first really knew Vecna, was like the hand of Vecna. That was like the big evil magical cursed item everybody was always talking about.
And then he eventually turned him into like a character. But yeah, he's an official real deal heavy hitter in the D&D universe.
Interesting. I had no idea.
All right. Let's take a break. On the other side, we will see Thor, Love and Thunder. And yeah, thanks for geeking out with us. We'll see you in a little bit. Play the trailer. Brian, please.
I know your pain. Your suffering. You've lost. Yet God protect them.
Gods of the universe. I come here to raise an army. Today, we'll go down in history.
How exciting.
Today, we'll fight!
I'm gonna kill this guy.
Spoken like a true Thor.
This ends here and now!
I'm counting on that.
Marvel Studios' Thor, Love and Thunder in theaters July 8th. Rated PG-13. Tickets still available.
All right, we're back on the other side. And so Thor, Love and Thunder, I'm looking forward to this conversation. I want to start off like doing like, backgrounds with Thor with each of us. I'll go first, which is with Thor. I've always thought him to be the shitty Superman, at least in the 90s. I was like, why? And then I check on him every so often and find out that he has like one of the greatest like potentials for stories of almost any superhero. Like he literally does science fiction, fantasy, ground. He can jump dimensions. So he's like this hero that naturally like fits into like every kind of story. And then he started to rise up quickly as one of my favorite of all time. I did read Gore the God Butcher, which was one of the most epic things I've ever read. Yes,
that's going to be an interesting thing. And what do you think how this one handled Gore?
Did you read it?
I've read through like I've seen a video like showcasing it, so I've seen like half of the story. But that was a pretty good Jason Aaron Thor story.
Yes, it was really good. And then I'll end it there because the just the epic scale is insane. So Doc Falconer / Matt, what's your take on what's your background with Thor?
Well, I seen the movies, didn't like the second one, like most people, I think. And yeah, other than that, I never really read the comics or anything. I was always aware of the character. I'd play him occasionally in the Capcom fighting games. I always for a while, I was very confused. I thought that, wait a minute, is Thor turning into Beta Ray Bill, and did he get turned into a frog? And then eventually, found out, oh no, these are all just different versions of Thor, and all sorts of people can be worthy, etc. And so, yeah, I mean, for the most part, I have always been aware of Thor. I've always kind of appreciated Thor, but I never really got super into it.
All right. MJ, what's your take on Thor?
Here's one of the sad things about Thor. I'm Norwegian. So you'd think I would know most of the mythology behind my heritage. I don't.
Mm-hmm.
So the Thor that I know of is mostly from the comics and the movies, and mainly steeped in the movies. I've seen all the movies, obviously, and actually rewatched all of them leading up to seeing this one the week before, and including finally reading the Gore origin story from the God and Thunder series, which I loved as well. And I was very interested to see how they're going to adapt it. But yeah, that's pretty much my background on Thor.
Isaac.
I do not have that much of a background. To me, he was always kind of like, you'd see him pop up in some of the comics, the TV shows, which is kind of like how I became familiar with the MC or the Marvel Universe pre-MCU, which was like, the Spider-Man TV show, the Fantastic Four TV show, the X-Men TV show. So I was kind of like casually familiar with him as like a fixture that would show up. I know he was like also famous for the Avengers, whatchamacallit, the World's Greatest Heroes, that cartoon they liked before they.
Oh my god, Earth's Mightiest Heroes.
Earth's Mightiest Heroes, yeah,
so good.
The decent cartoon they did before they just said, "Fuck it, we're making MCU light cartoons."
Yeah, the shitty version.
I've enjoyed most of the MCU interpretations. It's interesting. Everyone loves to shit on Thor: The Dark World. Mm-hmm. I don't think it's super great, but I think it's as good as like your other like mainline MCU movies. I still think the Loki stuff in it is really good, and it's got some fun stuff. Portals,
sorry, just in a dig. I finally watched Thor: The Dark World for the first time like a few months ago, and it took me like a couple of weeks to finish it.
Damn.
I kept trying. I was like, I want to watch you, movie, but you're making it hard.
I'm surprised people like such an averse reaction. Like, I'd say it's more watchable than Ant-Man 2. Whatchamacallit? What's the other one I hate?
Ant-Man 2. You didn't like the second Ant-Man?
Wow. No, I did not. I thought it was very mediocre. I just was not a huge fan of the second
one. The first one, but
I'm having a hard time remembering it. Like not and like not in the way like it sucked as much as like wait, like when you said I was like, oh wait, there's an Ant-Man 2? Hey, what happened? What else?
Because it came out right after Infinity War, and everybody was still in shock from the end of Infinity War.
Okay,
fair.
It was like the palate cleanser. And then what was the other Marvel movie? Iron Man 2 and Ant-Man 2, I think, are like the bottom worst MCU movies.
Iron Man 2 was bad.
You've seen the Incredible Hulk, right?
I will go to bat for the Edward Norton Incredible Hulk. Or are you talking about the one with the Edward Norton one, right? You're talking about Edward Norton?
Yes.
The Incredible Hulk is still watchable. It also serves as a fun, soft reboot sequel to the Ang Lee Hulk, which I appreciated. You can consider that canon, or you don't have to if you don't want to. I thought that was very considerate. I thought Edward Norton was watchable, and it was the first Hulk movie that gave us superhero Hulk who actually fights someone who's stronger than him. You had fun scenes with the, Tim Roth's transformation to Blonsky. Is it the best Marvel movie? No, but I'd say it's a solid B-.
Yeah, I still consider that one I always considered that one the bottom. And Dark World was right down there for me too until I rewatched it a month ago, and it was better than I expected. The weakness of that movie is still the villain, which plays into the larger villain problem that the MCU has always had, but it's been especially magnified in Phase 4. But in the final quarter of the movie, with the big fight in the courtyard there and the alignment of the worlds, like why does it always have to be Earth? Can't this just be some other freaking planet? Why does the convergence have to be Earth every damn time?
I very much am getting tired of like Earthbuster stories that happen like several times a year.
But other than that, I thought the Dark World was actually pretty good. I mean, as far as continuing Thor's story and continuing Loki's story and the entire family of Asgard story, I thought it was like a good continuation. It was just those other 2 points were the biggest weakness of that movie. And should it drag down the rest of the movie? No, I don't think it should, but they definitely are hard to get through.
I agree. The Thor definitely has like one of the most forgettable, generic, uninspired. But you had the little scene where Asgard gets fucked up a little bit. That's always kind of fun to see, like the place that was enshrined in glory get a little nose dirtied a little bit. Obviously, I think Thor came to his own in Ragnarok, which is going to be a very interesting discussion comparing to this one. Obviously, this one shares a lot of Ragnarok's DNA, but I think we're going to have a lot of varied opinions about it. And I think Chris Hemsworth found his groove in just finding getting to play to his comedic strengths.
Yep.
And I think funny Thor is probably the best Thor. I like seeing him being playful and bantering, and I think it's a great mix of his bravado. And it seems to be the definitive version of the character. And it's also fun that the character's been so tortured and he's lost everything. And probably one of the most tormented main characters out of the MCU outside of Captain America.
True.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Let's see. Who's next up with background Thor? Where's everybody?
I think that's everybody, yeah.
All right then. Isaac, what's your take on Thor Love and Thunder?
I don't know, like a B-, C+. It was a movie I wanted to like. I like Taika Waititi. It's funny though. Now there's this perception where like people have the knives out for the guy. I'm not quite sure what he did to like piss so many people off. Maybe he's just so overexposed, but it seems like people just want to like tear him apart. So we're seeing him like the stones are starting to be flung by the Twitterati. But let's see. I thought the film felt like two very different things jammed together that didn't quite work entirely. Like I feel like Gore deserved his own movie and it deserved a more serious movie. I think Christian Bale did a really good job, but like I don't know why I want to watch the God Butcher kidnap children. I don't know why that was like the driving thread. I think the Natalie Portman relationship stuff is probably handled here better than the comic, and I also appreciate spoilers that they killed her off and they had the balls to do that.
Yeah, I was very surprised. Kinda.
I thought they were gonna like have her replace Thor entirely, as has been kind of the trend with the Phase 4.
Yep.
But it just felt like kind of like a mix where like all of the positives in Ragnarok didn't work here. Like a lot of the humor didn't work. I think not having Loki was a huge detriment. Because I think one of the really big pillars of Ragnarok and why it worked so well was how many other Marvel characters he had to bounce off of. It's fun seeing him interact with the Hulk and actually like a smart version of the Hulk who's like can articulate. It's fun seeing him interact with Loki, and I don't think Valkyrie or Natalie Portman Thor were able to like hold up to that level that we'd come used to in Ragnarok. And I also think that like Taika Waititi's humor worked very well in Ragnarok, but here it comes like too many things miss than hit. And I think Korg really needed to be a very minor supporting character, and I think he overstays his welcome.
Well, when you're voiced by the director of the movie, you can get all the screen time you want.
He just can't stop himself, and he won't stop himself. Matt Falconer, what'd you think of Thor: Love and Thunder?
Yeah, overall, it's sort of funny. Like leaving the theater, my initial thought was extremely positive. The whole ride, I just enjoyed the hell out of it. And there's a number of reasons why I did. Like a lot of people are talking about the humor used in it. And there were definitely times where it felt a little overdone, where it's sort of like, oh, hey, Ragnarok was funny. And people liked that. So let's throw even more humor into this one. But at the same time, I thought like near the end and everything, they got a little bit more serious. Like we were talking about the death of Natalie Portman. Like I think that was a great idea to actually go through with it. But overall, I really did. I had a lot of fun with it. It just felt fun, and I think there's not necessarily anything wrong with that. That this was just kind of a fun movie. Yeah, there were awkward parts, and there are parts I like more than others. When we go over our lists, I'll kind of go through that stuff. But overall, I left with a positive feeling. Now, will I feel that way in a couple of weeks? Maybe not. A lot of times that's what happens is I'll watch a movie, and then a couple of weeks later, I think something completely different about it. But in general, Phase 4 has been really uneven. And I think there's a lot of experimentation going on, kind of. MJ, I think you were talking about, kind of spaghetti, just kind of throwing things around. And I'm kind of wondering, I feel like they're sort of afraid that the MCU is getting stale because it is getting stale and they keep kind of doing the same thing over and over again. So for this one, I felt like they did things a little bit differently and I liked that. So overall I had fun with it. Sorry, that was real rambly, but I hope I got my point across.
Apology not accepted. I like the rambly, so
right.
You're good, man. MJ, what'd you feel?
I guess my feeling on it hasn't changed too much since we saw it last week, but it was about 2 hours or an hour and a half of crazy, amped up to 11, thrown in a blender, and then thrown in a bucket that was kicked over repeatedly by those screaming goats that we got to listen to multiple times throughout the film. But then in the final quarter, it's like all of a sudden, oh crap, we need to pull this back in so people give a damn. And they finally started pulling back in on all those emotional undercurrents that they'd been building up the entire movie, and then finally brought it back in, and somehow they managed to land it decently. I mean, the death of Jane Foster, that was kind of predictable from the way they were building up through the entire movie. I mean, Mjolnir was draining her life force every time she was wielding it, and she already had stage 4 cancer, and it's like, well, not really too many ways this character can survive this. Plus, she's mortal, and Thor's already 1,500 years old, and if you read the comics, he lives to be way, way older than that. And I was actually kind of wondering if they were going to include the 3 Thors part of that story arc from the comics. Like, well, it is the multiverse, and time travel's already been done in Endgame, so what the hell? Let's really go crazy. But thankfully, they cut that out because it would have made the movie 3 hours long. It's a middle of the pack MCU movie for me. As much as I like Taika, he almost seemed to take the license that he got from Ragnarok being so successful to really amp up the crazy to 11. And it's like, okay, well, you kind of earned that, but a little restraint probably would have helped too.
Yes,
and
a little restraint. And we've gone a long way on this one, I think.
And I agree with Isaac that not having Loki there as Thor's counterpoint to actually have some of the more interesting conversations, because rewatching the first 3 movies as well as Infinity War and Endgame leading into it, having that whole the relationship with Loki was a good center for the first 3 movies. And then, obviously he lost Loki at the beginning of Infinity War, and he just had become emotionally rock bottom by the time he got to Infinity War, because he didn't have Mjolnir, he didn't have any of his family. Half of the remaining Asgardians have been wiped out by Thanos. And he got left in space. Like, okay, what do we do now? Oh, let's get Stormbreaker. Hey, let's go back and try to get some revenge on Thanos for really helping me hit rock bottom. And no, we can't give him that. He didn't aim for the head. And it's rewatching it all in the span of a week, it built up my expectations. Like, okay, I really want to see what they're going to do to continue Thor's arc from all those movies and coming out of Endgame, because he's basically going off to have his emotional retreat for the Guardians of the Galaxy for however long. And it's that Guardians of the Galaxy stuff. Hey, we're going to turn the Guardians of the Galaxy from the Firefly crew into the A-Team. There's kind of mercenaries for good going around the galaxy. Like, okay, this can work, and I'll be interested to see how that's going to lead into James Gunn's Volume 3 when it comes out next year.
They established that
But-
they were that thing, that they were that kind of a team in Volume 2.
Well, the interesting thing. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, MJ. You're to reply.
Sorry, I didn't hear that. What was that?
It sounded like you're about to reply.
Oh, I think that
no,
was
I'm sorry. No, that wasn't me.
I'm so bad. I always feel bad when one of you inspires a thought that I want to have, and then I I want to say it, but then I try not to trample over you. But the Guardians of the Galaxy were very interesting, just because I feel like we got a glimpse into what the future Star Lord will look like, and it was probably the most mature version of the character we've ever seen, even though we only see it for 5 minutes.
Mhm.
So I was kind of disappointed we didn't get to see a little bit more. I mean, we all sort of knew this was basically going to be what Doctor Strange was in, Thor Ragnarok. Just like a fun little 5-minute cameo. Wasn't going to be a big thing. But I kind of wanted to see Taika you do a little bit more with him. But I did find the one little glimpse we got of Star-Lord very interesting, and possible clue of what we'll see James Gunn do in the third and final volume.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I did like how they portrayed Star-Lord. It'd be interesting to see how they launch off of that. But then Gore, I did like the compressed origin that they had for Gore at the beginning there. Like, okay, that works. I mean, I liked how it didn't seem as deep seated though as they built it up in the comics, because in the movie he just lost his daughter as well as the rest of his people. But in the comic, he lost his mom, he lost his wife, and then he lost all his kids slowly to hunger and exposure. And still he was praying and praying and praying to the gods to save him and his people. And then his people basically tossed him out and cast him away for being a heathen, for finally swearing off the gods. And then, he's off dying in the middle of the desert, and all of a sudden the gods fall right into his lap. And it's like, have at least some of that depth that they had from the comics, and they just kind of blew right through that for the movie.
I don't think that works as a movie script, because they want to get to their final point of resolution, versus if you see the full breadth of it, you kind of question even more why you do just that one wish. Because my take on the movie, the movies I like. So first Thor, that was all right. Second one, we actually reviewed on HJU Radio with Stephen Ford, and that was not good. Third one, that was Ragnarok, which I loved, but then was offended by when I listened to the director commentary, where I couldn't tell how much he cared. And that made me think that that's what we were going to be getting in this next one, where no one would ever tell him no. And Orson Welles says that the greatest enemy to creativity is the absence of limitations. So
wait, what about what did you learn in the director's commentary? I've never heard it. So can you give me a brief synopsis or Reader's Digest?
Yeah, so I was over the moon in love with Ragnarok. I couldn't wait to listen to the commentary, because that's what I do with something that just blows me away. And usually, to me, it's like a metaphoric makeout session with the director, as they tell you what they love, why it was created, where this shot came from, or the trouble of doing this shot. And with Waititi, dude, all he did was just started doing so many jokes that you couldn't tell if he was being serious or not. It was just like he was being bothered to talk about the movie, which really turned me off. I was not happy with that. There's the Surtur thing where you got the CGI devil guy, and so Taiki starts going, "That's actually me right there," and they covered me with soot and gasoline. They actually lit me on fire. I'm like, dude, okay, you don't want to do this.
Wow, now you have me wondering what his director's commentary for Jojo Rabbit's like. Yeesh.
I wonder. So the thing that made me think, what I thought was that indication of how making a Marvel movie isn't like making a real movie. How much you don't get to really choose to present yourself, and you're working for a company, and that's why he was not giving his passion toward it. Although I did see an interview with him later, and then he actually showed all the passion that I was hoping I was going to get in the director commentary. where he started talking about like his childhood and Flash Gordon and all that. So what I'm saying here, yeah, go ahead, please.
You never know when someone's just having a bad day. Like he might have been hungover or something. I mean, I saw a What We Do in the Shadows panel at last year's Comic-Con, and Matt Berry just looked like he wanted to be absolutely anywhere.
Gotcha.
But that panel. And I'm like, well, you know, I'm not going to think like, well, Matt Berry, what a piece of shit. Now I hate everything he does, you know? It's like, no, I just kind of assumed he was having a bad day. So you never know with stuff like that. And especially considering that then you heard him being enthusiastic in another part.
So yeah, that's completely, like, I didn't even sit all the way through it. Cause like maybe after the first few minutes he comes to, I couldn't sit through it. Like that was like, that broke my heart. Cause like, when I love, like, director commentary is like one of my favorite things to do with a movie. And especially like kind of this kind of movie. So I was like, oh, here we go. And then like couldn't sit through it. So to me, all that jokery that he was doing in the commentary seemed to get to this movie, which to me, I'll actually say I did love, I wouldn't say loved it. I liked it a lot. I liked Thor Love and Thunder quite a bit. I will give it a very admirable solid B to B plus maybe. But the problem with him not having limitations, like, because if you balance out his zany wackiness with maybe having some real stakes and world building, then you could like have like something that's, you know, long lasting, top tier, makes you think about the world. But here, like, goddamn, man, like everything was a joke, which kind of takes away from the movie. So yeah, let's just rapid fire from here.
Okay. So yeah, one of the first things, like very beginning of the movie, that whole thing with like that goofy ass golden god that Christian Bale runs into. MJ, earlier you had brought up Terry Gilliam, and the beginning of this really reminded me, something about it really reminded me of Terry Gilliam.
Yep.
I think part of it was like that god and the way they had like that straight shot where he's like talking right at the camera and there's all that shininess around him and everything. It just immediately it's what made me think of that. And it was just like, I don't know, to me it was like I like Terry Gilliam well enough, but every once in a while I find his style to be off-putting. So like that's the kind of like right off the bat, that's I got that weird impression.
All right.
Anybody else notice how the Necrosword kind of looked like Androsel from Lord of the Rings?
Yes. Yes. Like the hilt? There's like a two-handed grip there, I think.
Oh yeah. It does a little bit, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I guess I was paying extra close attention to that after the Conan blade showing up in Stranger Things. I was like, okay, what other random prop stars are they going to throw in these future productions? But yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say a problem I had with the movie is that my these are the shortest notes I've ever taken. I have a feeling that what a lot of people are experiencing with MCU movies is what Scorsese said about them not being movies but amusement park rides. Because while I was watching it, I really did have a lot of fun. But since everything is just fucking so goofy, well, what else am I thinking about after that? Like, I'll say that. Let's see. I like the costumes well enough. I like Natalie Portman well enough, but I also was pretty sure. I didn't think they'd kill her off, but I could tell that they want Natalie Portman. She's a real actress, so I can tell that she would not want to. Yeah, lock me in with MCU for the next 8 years, so I can't do anything else with the rest of my life. So I was pretty sure they'd take her back off the board, but I guess they can still call on her. I don't know. Yeah, like the movie for myself is just like,
well,
yeah.
Well, who knows? Maybe Taika will put her in his Star Wars movie since she's never been in a Star Wars movie.
Did you hear that rumor?
Yeah, she was in them before.
Yeah, he didn't know, and he asked her. Phenomenal.
Once again, though, Taika, we can't tell if he's joking or not.
Oh no, I don't think. I think he just straight up didn't know.
I think it's unfortunately, like that's what I thought for days. But then, like you've seen Taika's humor, right? Like,
yeah.
He would do this. Well, so I can't.
Oh wow.
He used to go, oh, would you like to be in a Star Wars movie? Snicker, snicker. And then like now he's got like 1,000 headlines. So
all right.
Here's an interesting question I'm kind of to bring to the panel. So it's interesting. You guys seem to be more positive. I'm a little bit more negative. What do you guys think of Zeus?
Aha! Let me tell you.
Damn you, Russell Crowe.
Whatever you want,
What was
Russell.
that?
Do whatever you want, Russell. We're glad to have you here.
Hold on. Have you heard that Taika had him do all of his lines twice?
No.
Yeah. Once with an English accent, or British, and once with the Greek accent.
Is that what that was supposed to be?
Yeah, that was a Greek accent. And let me tell you something. I live in Astoria, and Astoria has the second most Greek people in the world, apparently, including my landlord. I don't know if that's true or not, but he came on and started talking, and I was like, "Oh, Greek."
All right.
No, he got
that's
it.
good to know. I mean,
He got it.
I mean, because that was another thing coming off of watching Baz Luhrmann's Elvis, because they had Tom Hanks as Colonel Tom Parker, Elvis's manager, and he had this Southern fried Dutch accent that he used throughout the entire movie. So I guess I've just been extra sensitive to wanky accent impersonations, and I was listening to Crow go through his lines, I'm like, dude, are you actually trying to do an accent or a parody? Because this is sounding more like a parody than just ugh. But no, it's good to know that that's actually rooted somewhere closer to reality. That makes me feel a little better about it.
Yeah, I mean, look, his characterization was obviously extremely over the top. Watching it, I was actually thinking about that. It was like it almost struck me as like stage acting. The way he was going at it. And yeah, I would think to some degree, I'm sure if an actual Greek person saw it, they would be like, what is happening here? But I knew exactly what he was doing, and but yeah, I don't know. Overall, his performance as Zeus, it was over the top, but I really enjoyed it. It was fun. It was fun.
I think would you say it was amusement park fun versus looking back and saying, all right, that was Thor in this movie and I will recognize him as Thor.
Well, all right, if you're gonna
Zeus,
oh no, that was, I mean, if we're gonna put it like that, 1000%, roller coaster time, baby. That was amusement park fun.
My take on Zeus, man, like it's the double-edged sword of, oh man, thank you guys for doing this. I do like the idea that we're gonna like go up and visit a world of gods. Like this is now another section of the MCU that exists that you can think about, maybe get adventures from, and that Zeus and Thor talking to each other. That's kind of cool, even though they went full on joke with it. It's kind of cool to see them go back and forth. And I do like the idea of like Zeus being like the major antagonist of Thor. I would like to see that fight, actually.
I'm going to throw out something out here. I think the movie would have been much better if they saved Gore the God Butcher for like his own thing, and then just had Zeus be the major antagonist for this movie.
I think he might be I think Zeus is a better third movie, because also I feel like they abandoned the 3-movie structure after Dark World and restarted with Ragnarok, so that we get our Empire Strikes Back middle darkness, and then big bad for a third.
That's very, very generous for what feels like has no form and structure, and just basically they threw money at Taika because Thor Ragnarok did so well. That's the general sense I have of this movie, that like Taika didn't necessarily want to do it, but they just threw a lot of money at him, and it's like because they wanted to recapture that Thor Ragnarok magic. Because like the MCU is trying to do 2 things right now: introduce like the new, more diverse characters. They had that all new, all different Marvel back in 2015, and it feels like that was like a just a bed to try out new characters or workshop new characters to eventually come into the MCU, and now they are. But like Thor feels like the old, he's the old. Chris Hemsworth is the only one who still wants to play him. Captain America, Chris Evans wants out. Robert Downey Jr. wants out. So if you could at least keep one of the main original 3 core pillars of the MCU in, sure, keep him in as long as you want.
That's That's interesting. In that almost feels like something we would be saying about like a DC movie, where they're just sort of flailing around and just trying to be like, okay, just follow the money. Like what the people like that. Like, oh, let's just do more of that, as opposed to like more earlier on in the MCU where it was very clear they had a plan. At least it seemed that way.
Definitely felt that way.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I was saying that like the earlier movies, I was saying in our Multiverse of Madness review that each movie, if something happened, it mattered. So like at the end of like Iron Man, you see Nick Fury show up, and you're like, oh shit, it matters. This is the next step that we can move on to the next one. Versus Multiverse of Madness, you see Xavier show up. Ha ha ha! It doesn't matter. It's a joke. Kill him right in front of your face. Lollocopter. You're like, okay,
Right.
dude. And then was it here? Like we had some stuff happen, but like are we carrying anything from here? Like, do we feel like a next step has actually happened?
And that's what it felt like. I mean, the Guardians of the Galaxy part, felt like that was the only thing that had any springboard to anything after it. I mean, towards the end of the movie, when Gore makes his wish and brings back his daughter, and happy, feel good, and Thor has his reason to live now that he's been looking for 6 movies now. It's like it feels more like a happy ending more than like something to springboard off of. And apparently Taika and Hemsworth, when they were sitting in the theater watching it for the first time, they saw the card at the end that Thor will return. They both looked at each other and went, "What? Oh,
wait. Is that
Are you serious?"
Apparently, yeah. That was a story that came out this past week. Apparently, neither one of them had any idea that was going to get tagged on to the end of the movie.
Oh,
neither one of them knew about any continuing plans.
Well,
oh my god!
I highly question.
It's into the larger way that they have been handling Phase 4 at this point. It's just like I said earlier, it's spaghetti chucking. They're just seeing what sticks and they're just going with it.
Woof.
I can't imagine they don't know that they're going to be doing a sequel.
Well,
the money they pull in.
If it's Taika saying it, I would have taken that with a grain of salt. But if Hemsworth was saying like, seriously, dude. And plus,
Yikes.
I mean, for Hemsworth, it would have been great if this was the last chapter for Thor, because that was his daughter that played Gore's daughter at the end of the movie.
Oh, was it? Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
and
his
also
daughter India Rose played Gore's daughter. And it's like, because they felt very familiar with each other in those final scenes, and like, I looked up the production notes, and like that's Hemsworth's daughter.
God damn.
It's very sweet, although I kind of hated the ending. I don't know. It's like you have to work really hard to sell me that this random guy's daughter, he's going to give Stormbreaker, and then they're going to go having father-daughter adventures. I don't know. The ending just did not work for me. Oh, love is the name of the girl. I would have been happier if it was like a baby Beta Ray Bill.
Oh yes. No, I was thinking that's what the third movie is going to be called, The Ballad of Beta Ray Bill.
Oh.
Well, then again, like, I don't know. I think so. Although that we have Hercules coming and Zeus is a threat. So will they have room for Beta Ray Bill? We'll find out.
I don't know. I don't think that they've planned. They supposedly went on a retreat because I think Kevin Feige finally realized, oh fuck, we gotta shit on this pot with Kang the Conqueror, or else nothing matters, or we're doing Secret Wars. We gotta figure out something.
A thing I will say that I kind of sort of like about this stage of the phase of the MCU is that so going back to like 90s sci-fi TV shows and getting back into that, I enjoyed that not everything was a home run, and sometimes you'd have lulls. And like I think that's what we're experiencing now, and then we kind of need like that height of like Endgame was just titanic, so that we do need to bring, I think, expectations and feelings down to, hey, let's say that although they keep doing the plot of everything is a universe Earth buster, even though they do that, everything does feel like we're once again going back down. We're just kind of lulling out, and then like from this like kind of like quote unquote easier going, even though like the Earth almost split in half with a giant Titan inside of it, even though that's kind of low. We need that so that in the next phase we can start cherry picking from that. Like I feel like we're in the place setting episode.
I agree. I agree with that. One of my notes is actually this all feels like a transition phase, you know, and and I agree with you. This isn't necessarily a bad thing because otherwise, you know, what are we're just heightening and we're heightening, and the stakes get higher and higher and higher. And you can't just keep doing that. It's the same way you can't. It's difficult to just keep power scaling in anime. It just gets absurd. But I think that with the multiverse, if we want to talk about a way to kind of lower stakes, the multiverse is actually a really great way to do it because we were talking about how like, oh, here comes Professor X. Oh, he's dead. You know, and it doesn't matter because it's a multiverse now. So like, you know, like how many times has Loki died? You know, and it's just like, well, multiverse, so they can just come back and back and back. So I think they're gonna hopefully find a way for things to matter again, and that's when we can start heightening. But for the time being, it all kind of got lowered.
Yeah.
Well, one problem I would say, I think that's a good defense of Phase 4 to be like, you know, this is a lowering of expectations. But I always feel that each one of these movies keeps on going big in a way that's like so catastrophic that it feels like it should be impacting other shit a little bit more. Like Shang-Chi reveals that there's a giant Asian dimension filled with the Chinese dragons. The Eternals has a giant wax figurine of a celestial come out of the earth, and it's just in the earth. It's in the middle of the ocean. Thor, Love and Thunder, is going to destroy all the gods. In Moon Knight, there's a scene where they alter the stars, and the Egyptian gods are real. And it feels like all these things are kind of like so big that they should be stepping on the foot of other things. So, like,
well, in defense of that, that's kind of the way it is in the comics too. I mean, each of those various comics have their own little bubbles that are supposedly existing on the same Earth, and all these huge things that should be spilling over and everything else. And it's like, not always.
I'll be honest. That's why I stopped reading those comics. Like, I'm not. Yeah, like so. I got into Marvel like huge in the '90s. Like I was, and like lots of comic books. I had a great time, but then like. Too many every comic book with a universe disaster. I was like, guys, please stop doing this. Like one of my things I like to think about is if that's even possible, like that you can have like an artifact on Mars. This is a comic book from Captain America. You can have an artifact on Mars left unattended. It can wipe out the entire universe. The entire universe would have been wiped out long ago by at least one planet somewhere out there where there's no heroes nearby for it to stop the countdown. Like, stop saying that you can destroy the universe every week. And the movies, like, I think it's hard to come down from. Like, I believe, like, if they ever did try to do a non-universe buster, all of a sudden people are like, oh, why are you wasting my time? Like, this is just like a neighborhood thing? Oh, okay, it's not that big a deal. So I feel like they feel like they have to keep doing this.
That is fair, but I just feel like they should be if they are table setting, they should be telling smaller stories. Like one of the reasons why I kind of like the Hawkeye TV show wasn't the greatest thing, no, but I think it was like decidedly small scale, and it never went above that small scale, which I thought was kind of cute and charming, and I wish they did more of. Versus like the movies that keep on trying to do. Bigger things that feel very big but self-contained, but not interconnected.
I'll say the smaller scale of Love and Thunder kind of. I did appreciate. Quasi. Like their grand adventure was not to save the complete extinction of everyone on Earth for once, just like genocide across the universe of gods. That's still pretty big, but for once, like the universe the Earth got to wake up one morning without finding out that the next day they might be gone.
Yeah, I mean, look, really, if we're talking about stakes and kind of going back to what you were saying, Isaac, for Hawkeye, which I really enjoyed too. All they need to do is make you give a crap about the characters and their relationships. Like that's it. That's what creates stakes. And if they do it well, then it shouldn't, in theory, matter whether it's the whole universe or whatever that's going down.
I am glad that Thor finally got his hammer back. I am not a fan of Stormbreaker. That design is raggedy. Look, so like
ratchet.
I love the
Hey, Groot
while they're
gave
on
his
site.
arm for that. Come on now.
Exactly.
Oh,
Like
that's
I can see
true.
like on
Makes it even
set
worse.
while they're like, guys, I got an idea. It's the arm of Groot, and like people like probably all cheered. But then like every time I look at it, it's just like
Sorry.
it's like a branch. It's just a branch.
Well, here's an interesting question. I'm kind of curious to hear what the council says. Did you guys like the recurring joke and gag of like, Thor wanting to cheat on his hammer and then Stormbreaker always coming back?
Oh god.
I did. I'm so sorry. I fully get like when I was watching it's dumb as shit. Dumb as hell. But I smiled.
Super dumb. But oh my god, I'm sorry. That moment when Stormbreaker slowly came on the screen.
Yes.
Like
I smile with joy. Him pouring beer on it is kind of like it's really cute. I'm
cute.
a big,
are his weapons actually sentient in the comics? I don't remember that.
I don't
not like that.
I mean, they did get together and have little baby Stormbreakers. I mean, what the hell's going on here? Why?
I do
why are you
like
feeling violated that Thor's attentions are no longer directly on you, Stormbreaker? Tell us what's on your mind.
I do like that. It seems like there's a different rule around Stormbreaker that you don't have to be worthy to lift it up. I love that.
Yeah,
I am right. Like
yeah.
Like
Well,
you can just hand it to anybody.
Well, I mean, yeah. Odin didn't, write a bunch of stuff on it saying that you had to be worthy. So yeah, I think it's assuming that it's something that you are capable of lifting, that it's not like magically going to be impossible to lift.
But yeah, the image of the 6-year-old girl with the 10-ton hammer axe was silly, and I don't like. I was not a fan of the image. Like,
yeah,
please rescale it to her, please. Just I don't like it looking that easily. Like I can tell you're CGIing that.
Yes.
Yeah, Stormbreaker, the design to me is too big. Maybe if they wrap the handle some, just clean that shit up for me, please. I'm a big fan of Stormbreaker too. They have the hammer itself from the comics because yeah.
Wait, I thought you said you just didn't like Stormbreaker. You thought you said you didn't like it. This is design a minute ago.
In the movie, in the comic, I love it.
Oh,
and
okay.
I want the. I've been like, I'm also maybe that's also why I'm disappointed because like I've been dying to buy myself a toy of the comic Stormbreaker, and finally it's they didn't make it at all. They just made this giant branch axe.
Of course, I'm still wondering how. I guess I missed it in the movie if they explained it. How. Oh my god, forgetting names. How the God Butcher knew that Stormbreaker would help him get to
Good question.
the other dimension.
Because
James found the plans. It's like, oh god, he's going to try to open a Bifrost to try to get to the other dimension so he can make his wish. I'm like, how did he find out? And I'm wondering if that's because of the deleted scene that they actually filmed with Peter Dinklage.
Oh man,
I didn't know about that.
Yeah, because Lena Headey had a scene in there that was cut, and I don't know who she was supposed to play. Christian Bale said he filmed the scene with Peter Dinklage, and I'm wondering if Gore, I remember his name, Gore, actually went to the Starforge. I'm forgetting the name suddenly. Forgive me. And talked to him, and he found out the powers of Stormbreaker, and that's how he found out he could get to that other dimension to get to the entity.
Hadn't even thought of that, and yeah, because like Stormbreaker is a new thing that he couldn't have been like just listening to the legends of the world. Like Stormbreaker just got made, so
that would make a lot more sense.
I do like that it's unique bridge creation is a part of like some part of the plot. That's pretty cool. But I guess like the ending where I get the like you gotta tie up loose ends type storytelling so that you do like the loss of the daughter, half wish back the daughter. We've now closed the loop. Here's the story. But now you're making me think about like fiction. Like if we're doing this, like you have to accept loss. You don't get to wish for people to come back. Like the lesson is to be able to go on without her. Otherwise, you're cheating everyone in the universe. Like everyone else in the universe does not get to do this, and it's not fair that just for this one guy you get to do it. So
it's because the TVA was gone. They couldn't come back and fix the timeline because she was brought back.
True.
I don't know.
So,
You know,
complete
at
mess.
some point, the TV shows and the movies have to start actually intersecting again. 'Cause, I mean, if we look at it, the only things that have really intersected between the shows and movies has been Black Widow and Multiverse of Madness. Because I mean, obviously, Black Widow, they introduced Elena, and she showed up in Hawkeye, and that was actually my favorite parts of Hawkeye was the parts of Elena. Then, you know, obviously WandaVision leading the Multiverse of Madness, but otherwise, where's the interconnection here? I mean, the end of Loki, you think that would have been all over the place, especially leading into Multiverse of Madness, especially since both the show, because the guy who wrote the screenplay for Multiverse of Madness was the showrunner for Loki. So you'd think there would have been some interconnectivity there. It's the same guy, that Watering guy who was in Rick and Morty too. I forget his first name, but yeah, it'd just be nice to see some more interconnectivity because
I think
again, you're just watching it, wondering where all this is going.
I think the why we're not seeing that is like they're also probably facing the question of, okay, how much homework do we want people to have to do to see the next thing, and also at the same time, you know, we gotta make the stakes high enough to make it seem like, you know, it mattered versus like, all right, I did find the green Skittles that I was looking for at the grocery market. They made the movie and the credits roll, and you're like, hey, you know, that was 2 hours to find Skittles, not in the CU. The only way you can justify 2 hours is like universe threat.
Right.
It's interesting to see like where the MCU is now, because like objectively, like there are a lot of things I complain about in like all the TV shows and movies of Phase 4, but like you know, even at its worst, it's still not as bad as like, I don't know, Wonder Woman 86 or 85, or like or like Morbius or other shitty superhero.
Morbius.
Morbid time.
No,
It's Morbid time. I still haven't seen Morbius, but
Me neither. I'm curious.
Morbius is a Catwoman level viewing experience.
Ooh,
I
Jesus
watched.
Christ.
I was
Really?
having so many flashbacks of Catwoman. It was just. It's a movie based on a comic with Oscar-winning actor in the lead, with a director that is just doing something that no one on God's green earth can understand why. I mean, the guy who directed Morbius wasn't as creative as the one from Catwoman, because seriously, that was the last room level direction for Catwoman. And I still give credit to Halle Berry for showing up at the Razzies with her Oscar to accept her Razzie for that movie. But anyway,
yeah.
and I really want to see how well Morbius does at the Razzies this year. But yeah, Morbius, and then them throwing on that random tie-in to No Way Home at the end with those two teasers. I'm just like, why? Why?
Sony wants their Spider-Verse so badly. But it's interesting because, like, on the one hand, you have the high of, you know, the Spider-Man No Way Home, but then you've got, like, a lot of people have knives out for the MCU just because they feel like it's, like, kind of like treading water and just kind of like maybe there's not as much care, or maybe there's just a few little sloppy mistakes here and there that are just like, but it feels like it's become the Titanic where everyone's like waiting for the iceberg to hit, and you know, they all want to. Everyone wants to cheer from a cultural standpoint, even if they're still making a lot of money.
Yeah, that's the problem. They're still making a lot of money, so like there's just, so I was thinking like maybe what would help is if they like do what people want Star Wars to do. Please stop, you know, making so many movies per year. Please, like, slow down. Make it like another event so that we can get excited again. But it is an event. Everyone still does get excited until they start seeing like a nosedive of money. They can't, like, the main thing I've been seeing throughout the years of like bad movies like the Star Wars sequels. Anyway, no, the Star Wars sequels, like the biggest thing that I did notice about them was their very tight, like almost yearly to / 2 year cycle that they were bound to by contract, which across like all the movies I've been watching on that scale, like you do that in 2 years and you're fucked. Like George Lucas, I always kind of wonder, like, did they do that on purpose? And for the MCU, like, yeah, they're locked to a schedule of like money because we keep giving it to them. So will the next movie will not have the 3-year time that it takes to make masterpieces.
Well, here's the funny thing, because the next MCU movie is the next Black Panther movie,
Mm-hmm.
and that's.
I cannot wait to see that. I wish Ryan Coogler the best luck, but that movie is cursed. That movie is so fucking cursed.
There's a lot of problems going on with it.
I don't know, because I mean, if it seems to me that for any of the directors that they have in the MCU stable, if you want to call it that, Coogler seems like he'd be the one to be able to handle the adversity the best outside of the Russo brothers, because the Russo brothers have easily crowned themselves the top of the food chain within that group of directors, and they're probably never going to do another one. So
now that you mention it, go ahead, please.
I have all the faith that Coogler can salvage whatever he's going to be able to salvage from this, but I'm just very curious to see how they're going to do it. And there's going to be droves of people that are going to be in the same spot as I am. Just wondering how the hell is he going to pull this off without your name actor?
All right, so with Coogler,
is it ultimately going to be a tribute to Chadwick Boseman, or is it going to be a continuation of the legacy he created with the first movie?
Well,
or is it going to get
I gotta jump in before I
obscured?
forget my idea here. Okay, Coogler,
Sure.
The Black Panther. So what I see happening there is you making me think that maybe this is how MCU has been able to do so many good movies, and it's been like way more than 3 years since last Black Panther, and like I've been seeing like the 3-year cycle or more. If you get that much time, you can finally like lock in a great story, everything you need, and figure it out. So for Ryan Coogler, he's in a good spot. He has had actually tons of time to make sure that he does a good Black Panther, and like he's got a challenge ahead. The star's gone. One of the stars, the sister character,
it's a vehement anti-vaxxer who the internet has turned and now hates.
Yep.
Yeah.
She's been in a little bit of a trouble. So yeah, this is going to be historic. Actually, like, what do you do when your next movie, Luke Skywalker already died in real life? What do you fucking do?
It's such an.
And on top of that, they're going to be. I mean, supposedly the big bad for the next movie is going to be Namor, the Submariner.
Yeah.
Finally going to bring him into it, and he's one of the OG Marvel characters, pre-Marvel, even becoming a comic book. Let him and it's him and Iron Man. So, I
didn't know they're pre-Marvel. Iron Man's pre-Marvel.
Yep. Before Marvel was formalized, when he debuted in Tales of Suspense 39, Namor dates Captain America. Was another pre-Marvel character. Namor actually came out around the same time as Captain America, during just at the doorstep of World War II. At least America's entry into World War II. And I just found it interesting. The MCU is 14 years long now, and you're just now getting to one of the other OG characters. Wow. And
well,
supposedly the big conflict is going to be Wakanda's long-standing rivalry with Atlantis, and they're going to be introducing Atlantis and all this stuff. And it's like,
I've read some of that in the comic. It's so fucking good. Like, Chadwick Boseman, that is just a loss to the universe. Like, I would have loved to see Chadwick throw down against Namor, and now we don't get that. And yeah, I just like they're in the Black Nerd universe, like there's regular talk of please recast him, please, like we want a T'Challa to look up to. And like I said, it's like a D&D like game of people that love each other, and I guess I can definitely see like how no one in that cast wants to see the person they looked up to like replaced.
It's interesting because originally a lot of people were like thinking that like you can't cast him, he's too much, recast him, it would be too disrespectful. But then once the anti-vax stuff started with whatchamacallit,
I forget her name.
Latina,
Shuri,
the character.
Yeah.
Then people were like, get us a new Black Panther.
Things have changed.
Things have changed. We'll accept it. We'll have another Black Panther, please. For the love of God.
All right, all the nerds have gotten together. We're very sorry.
We changed our mind.
We changed our mind. Okay. Oh.
Yeah. So all the best around Coogler. I'm fascinated as hell to find out how that's going to land. I have no idea how they can pull it off, but It's coming in
Like-
November, so like it or not, here it comes.
Here we go.
Yeah, people don't give Black Panther enough credit. Like, it's one of the it's no single superhero has made more money ever. And
You
like,
really feel like people don't give it enough credit? I mean,
like, in memes and whatnot.
Oh, in memes and whatnot.
Memes, whatnot, and headlines. When I talk about the biggest money makers of all time, Black Panther, I never see it come up.
Wow. Maybe I'm just kind of thinking about. I feel like I hear about it a lot, and I was like, maybe I'm just thinking my friend group and like people I talk to continuously say that is what they consider to be the best Marvel movie is Black Panther. But
I saw a lot of people loving it. A lot of people loved it, and it hit really well when it first came out. But since then, like, people still talk about how much money The Force Awakens made. But I just don't see, like, this is historical. Like, having a majorly black cast in the second place, and then making this much money, it doesn't get the credit it deserves when it comes to its money making power. And now I can't, like, without Chadwick Boseman, like, can they do it again?
Well, hopefully, yeah.
All right. Do we have much more to say about Thor?
I have a few things, and they're much lighter.
Okay.
So first off, I don't know. Did any of you see the little YouTube shorts from many years ago with Thor and his roommate Daryl?
Yes.
Oh yeah, I did see those.
Yeah, and Daryl was in the movie. Like,
no.
Daryl. Yeah, he was the tour guide.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
I did not see that. Good eye.
It was the actor. He was Daryl. He had the name tag and everything. Yeah, like he was in there consistently as Daryl, and that just made me so happy. That like this guy from like this seemingly random, and he also had a one with what's his face, Jeff Goldblum. And yeah. So Daryl was in there. I would have loved to have seen some interaction between him and Thor.
Was he in the foreground and speak, or did you see him in the background doing things?
No, he was in the background in a couple of scenes, and he was literally in the foreground. I think, the tour guide, Daryl, as the tour guide did say, had some lines.
Yeah, he was the tour guide when Jane got to New Asgard and was looking down at the display of Mjolnir shattered and under that glass dome, and then he was like, "Okay, now we're gonna go off and have some popcorn or something, whatever."
That's right. Yeah. Yeah, they were going to try some sort of like Asgardian treat or something.
That's it. Yeah, thank you.
Yep, yeah. But that just made me so happy. Just like you're kind of talking about memes and stuff like that. Like that was about as low as you can get on the totem pole. But a little Easter egg for people that have seen those videos, and good for that guy that played Daryl in those YouTube videos.
Agreed. You know? I kind of wonder, like, how did that happen? They're like, we gotta get Daryl back. We love that day that we spent with Daryl.
Wasn't it fun? Guys, Daryl's great. I just want to say it. this is their conversation. Daryl. Oh my God, it's kind of like have any of you seen What We Do in the Shadows?
First starting movie in the first season.
The movie. The
movie's fantastic.
Yeah, in the movie, what was who's the guy that everybody likes? The real normal guy, the tech guy. But anyway,
George or
the helper? Is he the helper guy?
He was like hold on, I'm gonna be able to find this pretty quick, I think. Stu. Everybody loves Stu.
Nobody wants to eat stew.
Yeah. But anyway, well, apparently there was a meeting early on in the production of this, and they immediately brought up Daryl and the guy that played him, and they're like, yeah, he's going to be in it. So it was actually something they decided extremely early on that they were going to do.
Good eye.
Yep.
Anything?
Go ahead.
Anything else? What else should we be touching on?
Yeah, we were talking a little bit about, the various acting styles and whatnot, and I think we would be remiss to not mention the superlative acting of both Luke Hemsworth and Matt Damon. I was
very glad to see them show up again.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And then he's seeing a little bit of their process, after the disaster and the children get stolen, and they went up to Valkyrie and they were like, "Hey, we need to make a play about this. This is high drama. We got to do it." It was nice to see.
I'm still wondering how they survived Thanos' purge. when Thanos and his minions took over the ship. I'm like, how the hell did the 3 actors survive? Out of all the Asgardians, how did those 3 survive?
They got blipped back, possibly, but that's a good question.
Well, no, because you remember when Thanos ran into the ship, he did his usual half the population has to die culling. And then I still don't know how the other half that they didn't kill survived because, they obviously they destroyed the ship.
Yeah.
I mean, did Thanos
I've always
take
wondered.
the other half of the Asgardians onto his ship and then they dropped them off? I mean, how do they survive?
Asgardians can survive in space?
Well, yeah, as Thor proved, I guess.
Oh, okay, yeah. Then we do know that.
That's a lot of them. Okay.
Yeah.
So, I guess, like, from what we know of, like, Asgardians, he busted the ship, and they may have been floating there for whoever knows how long, and they got picked up.
Right. I am kind of glad that they didn't go with the God Bomb that Gore used in the comics.
I forgot the God Bomb.
What's the God Bomb?
The God Bomb was because in the comics, Gore wasn't trying to get to an alternate dimension to get a wish from an entity to destroy all the gods in the universe. He was creating this device and he was capturing gods to work on it. And they were slaving for thousands of years to create the God Bomb. Because in the comics, Gore, once the Necrosword bonded with him, which was a symbiote, and I'm kind of wondering why they didn't go with that whole part of it, but maybe Sony owns the rights to that too.
It is connected to the Venom symbiote, right?
It came from the same birthplace as the Venom symbiotes, yes, in the comics. Yeah. They kind of implied that the Necrosword was a symbiont, but they didn't go far enough with that. But anyway, the God Bomb was the device that Gore was trying to build to destroy all the gods. And just as he was about to set off the God Bomb and it was almost finished, and he was marching off, the son that he had, or his wife, turned around and said, "Oh, at last, Gore, you're going to become the god you're always meant to be." And that just triggered Gore, and he kills his wife again, and his son gets mad and kills him. And it's just, the origin story, the story arc for Gore in the comic was just nice Shakespearean, and some of his twists and turns, and like how much of this are they going to bring to the movie, and to have it land with Gore brought his daughter back, and like, okay, I guess that's a very MCU ending to his arc, but maybe it was a positive that the God Bomb maybe wasn't involved, because another doomsday device, they can explain it way easier by trying to get to an alternate dimension and getting one genie wish to fulfill his dreams or his ends.
The God Butcher was so good that you weren't spoiled by seeing this movie.
Wow!
Like, until you started talking. Sorry.
Oh no. Well, I don't think you said too much. But like, I'm just saying, like, what we saw in the movie is like, I feel like that's like, I want to say 1% of the comic, but it's probably like 10%, I guess.
It was kind of fun when he was like tormenting the little children. I enjoyed that puppet show, although it did not feel like comic God Butcher. It felt like just Christian Bale hamming it. I just hated those kids. I really did not like those kids. I hated them getting the powers. Like, Gore is supposed to be a very serious villain, kind of a dark villain. It just felt like, ooh, and now I'll kidnap some kids. And Gore, and that'll make Gore come back. Ooh, and then the kids get superpowers.
Absolutely done for the children in the audience. Like, that was fully like
Heimdall's kid,
get them involved.
You didn't like Heimdall's kid who took his name from Axl Rose? Come on.
But he was given a Norwegian girl's name. Astrid.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
So yes, young man, give yourself your own name that you want to use. Axel. That's, although I hear Axel's a terrible person. From
Axl Rose?
Yeah, is that what I heard?
He's troubled.
Guns N' Roses?
Troubled.
Yes, he's troubled.
Yeah, just yesterday I was talking to Christopher Kamen-Lee, the star of Power Rangers in Space, and he got words, just white hot words about Axl Rose.
Wow!
How did he encounter Axl Rose?
He was a massive Guns N' Roses fan, and then like I don't know like the story. Something happened after when they're big that Axl Rose did something horrible to rip off the rest of the band from money they should have.
Ooh.
Or something.
Okay.
I don't know if you guys know.
Interesting. I just thought it was funny that like the Power Ranger, like I just wonder what vagaries of fate would like get him to hang out with Axl Rose.
Yeah, it's kind of what I was wondering. It's sort of like, well, you're
no.
a Power Rangers now. Well, you know, you can do whatever you want. So you get to meet Axl Rose.
Nah, not
Every Power Ranger
just a fan.
gets
Just
to meet
he's just
Axl
a-
Rose.
He's just a fan.
I did enjoy actually the Guns N' Roses music.
I enjoyed the kids getting powers. Like, so I gear shifted. Like, though it fucks up a lot of world building, but I'm gear shifting to seeing that this is a chunk of this is like so that the children audience have fun. Like when I saw a kid get captured in the movie when I was a kid, I felt like, all right, I'm on the screen. And then like whenever you get like a kid that's able to whoop ass, like Short Round in Temple of Doom, like I got hype back then. So it's cheesy. It's not good world building or writing, but like having a bunch of children leaping through the air, glowing with golden lightning. As a child, my head would have probably exploded. Especially
I will.
Axel was one of the leaders.
But it feels like that works better for Shazam than it does for Thor.
Absolutely. World building wise, nah, it doesn't make much sense. But if you're doing a crowd pleasing amusement park ride of a movie, get them kids hype, get them hype, and this would do it.
Kids hype. Yeah, and I mean, I will say for the kids, I mean, I enjoyed it too, actually, and I agree, Keith. Like when I was watching that, immediately, like, oh yeah, this is for the kids. This is a power fantasy for kids, and then that's great for them to be able to see that. And like I always remember, like in a lot of older movies, when kids would get powers, whatever, it would just be very awkward looking. And exactly lame and cringy, but I gotta say it was pretty well done. Like when Axel was like flying through the air and slams his makeshift weapon down, he looked awesome. When like that little girl was spinning around with her stuffed animal, like I wouldn't want to get in the way of that. It was freaking sweet.
Dude, whooping ass with a stuffed animal.
With a stuffed animal.
I love that. I love that a lot.
It made me feel really. This sounds cheesy, but it made me feel good for the kids in the audience. Like, oh no, this is freaking sweet.
Like there's a little girl who went home and is running around the room beating monster ass with her little stuffed animal. Like, fuck yes. Thank you for that image.
Absolutely.
Anything else?
I'd be more accepting of it. I guess if we didn't like spend 4 or 5 movies seeing Thor become the most tortured MCU character, and also like we felt like his arc, I guess the arc of this movie was him learning to find fulfillment of becoming a father, but it felt like nothing was leading up towards that.
Absolutely not. Yeah, I completely agree. There's nothing at all in the story that's like, in next stage of life, I need to become a father, and that will truly like, it seemed like they're all sitting around. Like, I'm seeing the natural endpoint to setups at the beginning. Like, father lose daughter, hero gain daughter. Now script tight.
Now script tight. Script good. Make move.
Script me good.
But I will say, like some of his awkwardness with the kids in the cage was so funny. You know, I was like, well, I have to admit, things look pretty bad. Just like no kids' gloves whatsoever. It's like, yep, not looking good, kids.
Seeing this before didn't turn out well the last couple times.
I do wish we could have seen a little more of the American Psycho vibes that Bale was giving off, and that when he was sitting there twisting the head off that one creature, and like, oh, Bale. You don't like heads being separated from their bodies? You liked it a minute ago. I was like, more Bale of that. I miss the old American Psycho Christian Bale. Come on. He was like so good in that goddamn movie.
The huge grin on his face. He's like clapping while the kids are terrified. That was great. I liked just about everything Christian Bale did, and like the scenery. They probably had to replace it after each time he acted because of all the tooth marks. But like it was, I really enjoyed him.
Yeah, Bale fucking thunder crushed that role so damn hard that he should be king. I'm sorry, I'm gonna say it like the guy who did King. I think he needs a couple more years of like continued training of like the actor he may have potential to be, but I did not feel him as a great threat or a great bad guy. But Bale right here showed that he has like the fucking chops to give us like the next Darth Vader. But once again, it's the contracts of Marvel that I think real actors do not want to get locked into for too long.
Yeah, especially after that expose with like whatchamacallit, Elizabeth Olsen being like, I lost on so many roles for Marvel.
I remember, I didn't hear that line, but I remember hearing like, yep, she's like, because I'm with MCU, I don't get to do a lot of things that are like truly artfully fulfilling. But I get to be the Scarlet Witch and wear sexy costumes.
Yeah, it might be like a big thing that like actors are dissuaded from like just the time commitment of the MCU and how all consuming it can be if you have like a major role.
Yep, you can't party. Like if you get caught partying too hard, you're fucking done and they'll probably sue you inside out.
Really?
So yeah, you can't have it was now long ago, but like the rules they had, if you're in the MCU, just so you know, we will set you up for life. But every time we call on you, you say yes. You better have the squeakiest clean public image ever fucking seen, or you're gone. And once again, every time we say jump, you say yes, which is why I'm guessing that certain characters showed up at the end of Ms. Marvel who couldn't say no or go on to do like, indie movies and art projects.
Okay. I think we would be remiss to not talk at least a little bit about the goats.
I love them in the comics. Like in the comics, there's a time where Thor doesn't have his hammer, and like has to go through like what he has left that he can use. And instead of like using the hammer to fly around the galaxy, he now has an old axe that he used to use, and it gets pulled by his goats.
That's interesting. I did not know that they actually came from something. To me, I was not a fan. They felt like way too much internet lol, so random lol Ragnarok. So I thought that they kind of like by the second or third scream, I was kind of like, all right, you've worn out your welcome. And
then when they got to the Shadow Realm and they just crashed into the side of the comically small planet and just let out the last. Yeah, I just okay. That might have been the last payoff to that joke.
I like the construction of how they pulled everything together. Like, so like I was saying like how I like it when heroes are forced to use their non-signature things, and that always like is fun for me. So like yeah, no Thor's hammer, and you need to get other people around. So yeah, like now the bridge projects the bridge on a boat. I love the combination of all that. That was a lot of fun to me. But yeah, I fully get and agree. Okay, it never went over the top for me. I was watching for it, and I could see why easily for like most people it would go over the top. But the screaming goats didn't cross the line for me, even though I agree they did it too much.
Did your theater laugh consistently at the screen every time the goats? All right, so it worked for them.
Yeah, everybody was having a really good time at all the right moments.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I kept exactly. Like kind of going along with what you were saying, Keith, is I kept expecting them to get annoying and for it to be too much. But every goddamn time those fucking goats screamed, I thought it was hilarious. And I was almost mad at myself. I'm like, why am I laughing at this?
This is not that funny.
This is not that funny.
Yep, after the third time, no, but like, yeah, I was still with it. With it. But I get it. I would advise them not to continue to do that joke.
Yeah. Oh no, it's done. It's done. Yeah, and MJ, like you were saying, yeah, when they crash into a planet, like, no, that's it. That's it. But fun fact, there are, as far as I know, 3 Tooth Gnasher and Tooth Grinder toys out there right now, and none of them scream.
Really?
Yeah.
I cannot believe that they wouldn't do that. That just feels like such a little button you push and that you just start yelling.
Yeah,
the one thing they should do.
If that's the case, I guarantee a parent designed the toy.
Oh, yeah. There you go.
It's their kid to have that damn goat in the house constantly mashing the button.
I've heard from parent friends the toys that make noises. Like you want to sue somebody or have them killed.
Yeah, because it never fails. Somebody inadvertently rolls on it in the middle of the night, or something falls on it, and you hear at 2 a.m. when you're sound asleep, and you just want to murder something. So good on them for not making a sound.
There you go. Well, it's it's that old cliche that you get the screaming toys for other people's kids
Or drums, yeah.
or drums. Oh no!
Who's gonna buy any merchandise from this movie?
I bought the Thor before the movie came out. I love the design for Thor from this movie.
Nice.
Oh, very very blue.
Which one? Him with the costume or him with like the rocker jacket with the Guardians of the Galaxy?
The actual Thor costume, the rocker jacket. Oh god, I logged into Facebook this morning, and the usual ads scroll up. You must have been looking at it and blah. And a Hot Topic ad popped up, and sure as hell, that stupid leather vest is being sold at Hot Topic for anybody who wants it. I'm like, oh god, how many people are gonna be walking around with that?
What's funny is
This is a disaster.
When you started talking about that, I want that. I'm searching it right now. I'm like, what? I can have that vest? Oh my God.
Look it up on Hot Topic's site. Apparently, you can buy Love and Thunder
For
apparel.
$70.
If you're lucky, I'd say only 70. Man, that's cheap.
Yeah. Nope, I'm good. Never mind. If it's in like, if it was my sucker limit would be like say like $40, and then also it needs to say Ravagers on the back, and then I would buy the shit out of that.
God, I hope they do well by the Ravagers in the next Guardians movie. I hope.
James Gunn. Well, one thing we haven't discussed though, what are your thoughts of the Tessa Thompson's King Valkyrie?
For me, it's like, sure, I see like people like doing yes queening her, so I feel like it's for those fans, and otherwise to me it's like, yeah, they definitely did that on the screen. That's it. Like, it didn't develop much into much of anything.
Yeah, I was surprised for so much fanfare they gave her, and like originally the synopsis was like, oh, and Valkyrie's gonna go find a king, and so it's not just Love and Thunder for Thor, it's Love and Thunder for other people. I don't know if that got like cut from the editing room, or if they were like afraid there was like too much gay stuff, and they wanted to like lower it down and just have her flirt with women. But I don't know. It was funny how much of a non-presence she was, at least in this one.
I think the movie is big enough, and that adding anything else, like kind of adding anything else adds bloat. And we need to they needed to focus on like making sure Natalie Portman was happy, because it probably took a lot of work to get her to come back. Because I saw she was originally sold on doing Thor, and there's like a woman director who was once a part of it, and they're like, and just so you know, you're not just some love interest, okay, Natalie? We got shit to do. Like, we were respect you as an actress, and we're gonna do it. And then like something happened where that director disappeared, but she was still locked into the contract.
Wasn't it Patty Jenkins?
Yes.
Who was she was
Yes,
the one who was supposed to direct the second Thor movie.
Yep.
And then Natalie Portman was furious when she got booted out of it for like the Game of Thrones guy.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, and now she is a big freaking deal. Like, I cannot recommend Annihilation enough to everyone on the planet.
I love Annihilation.
Oh my god, yeah.
That's a very good movie.
Alex Garland at his finest. Yeah.
So like, yeah, to keep her happy. I'm sorry, Tessa Thompson. Everyone else in the cast, we need to make sure that, and even with like their focusing, it was still quite all over the map. But you know what's weird? I'd watch a director's cut of this movie. Like, I'm sorry. I think I enjoy the fun that Taika brings so much, and as stupid as it gets, like his worlds are like how I used to play as a child. Like you get like your toy chest together, you grab this hammer and this blaster or this shield, and everybody has a mishmash of whatever, and you do adventures together, and that's what I keep seeing with Thor. I like that. So even with all its flaws, I'm gonna still say, yeah, a very generous B+ for me. And that's the end of that rant part.
And I am
just
done
see
talking.
we'll just see where all this goes from here.
Do we want
Just
to do
hoping
final
She-Hulk-
thoughts, or any more notes that we should be touching on?
I feel I don't have any other notes. I'm fine going to final thoughts, personally.
Everybody else?
Yeah,
Same.
sounds good. Same here.
MJ, what are your final thoughts? What'd you feel about Thor: Love and Thunder?
I wouldn't mind seeing another Thor movie because I like Hemsworth as Thor. Hopefully, bring it back in a little bit from this and be a little more consistent with how Thor was prior to Love and Thunder. But I do like the arc that they've done with him, and ultimately, I do like where the arc left him at the end of this movie, and I wouldn't mind seeing another. But I'm hoping Kevin Feige falls through on his promise that we're finally gonna see where all this is going soon. He announced it through the press about a month ago that at some point very soon you guys are going to see what the point of all this is. I'm like, waiting with bated breath. In the meantime, I'm just hoping She-Hulk does well by Tatiana Maslany, because everything I've seen of that so far, it doesn't add up to the actress I saw in Orphan Black. Orphan Black, she was freaking awesome. And I'm just hoping She-Hulk measures up to her, because it'd be a massive disservice to her if it sucks.
My friend's been begging me for a decade to check out Orphan Black.
Yeah, I highly recommend it. I'm only halfway through the first season, and she's amazing. I don't know how she didn't have greater accolades coming out of that show than she has, but I just hope they don't pooch her.
Yeah, I hear she's quite legendary actress even. So, all right. Any other final thoughts and feelings about Thor: Love and Thunder?
No, I think that pretty much sums it up.
All right, Doc Falconer, what'd you feel? What are your final thoughts on Thor: Love and Thunder?
Yeah, you'd kind of mentioned earlier that you would watch a director's cut. As would I. This is a movie that I would happily watch again, especially if there was going to be more content to it. Also, I really appreciated that it wasn't as long as a lot of Marvel movies have been getting. And it clipped right along. So overall, yeah, I really enjoyed this movie. Yes, it was a ridiculous roller coaster, but they did manage to put some actual stakes in there at the end and kind of make you care a little bit. Really fun performances, pretty much across the board. Yeah, I really liked it. And also, I'm looking forward to seeing some Brett Goldstein as Hercules. I'd love to see him kind of go and get in a nice big ol' fist fight with Thor. So yeah, well, I'm curious to see where that goes.
Oi, call him by his actual name, Roy fucking Kent. Come on.
That was some like I was watching with some other people. I think I might know where you're going, but go ahead.
I was so close to going into the Roy Kent chant in the theater when he came on the screen. Like, I wanted, but there are kids here. I can't do it.
Yeah. I watched it with my girlfriend, and we've watched what's his face together, the soccer show, and
Ted
Lasso.
Ted Lasso. Thank you. Yeah, and she was looking at him, and she's like, "Wait a minute, who is that? I know who that. Who is that?" And I was like, "He's there. He's here. He's there. He's every fucking where. Roy Kent." But as a whisper, so the kid.
Roy Kent and his kebabs. He liked kebabs.
Kebabs.
Yeah, how he said kebabs it always made me laugh. Like, just freaking kicked that word with his accent. Anyway, kebabs.
Yeah. So there you go. Those are my thoughts.
All right, Lobster Magnet. What are your final thoughts?
I think I'm probably the most negative of Thor. I thought. I mean, it's still watchable and fun, and I still think this version of Fun Thor is probably the most successful Thor, so I don't necessarily want it to go away. I just wish that Fun Thor stays in a fun universe, and that you keep like a more serious villain, and just separate them. It was kind of sad to see Gore wasted, and maybe Taika should. I don't know. This movie didn't feel like Taika was like had something to prove in like the $200 million film space. This felt like him cashing a paycheck.
Yep.
Where maybe he hated doing Thor Ragnarok, but it felt like whether he had better tools or just something to prove. Like, this felt like kind of going through the motions. There are things to enjoy, but it definitely feels like this is like a lot of people are going to use this as an example to bring out the knives to go after Taika. Even though I don't think he's, like Chris Pratt, done much to deserve it, but it's interesting to see the culture shift. So it was okay. There are a lot of things that annoyed it. Who knows? Maybe when I see it in 2 to 3 years, when I'm at the gym on TBS, my opinion will change. But as of right now, it was kind of like so C+, low B- rating for me.
Right on. My final thoughts is, I think I agree with you, man. Like, even though I like it, I agree with you. Like, it was that main thing of like, dude needs a lot more limitations. Working within that, the talent he has. If someone made him tighten up on some of the seriousnesses, like elsewhere, anywhere, like I think you can make a far better movie. But like I said, he must have had like the same childhood I did. Like he keeps on hanging a tone with his Thor movies and James Gunn. That like when you go to Marvel space, everything gets to be cute, funny, cartoonish, and absurd. I kind of love it. I feel like across the board though, like it seems like it's almost universal that people are like kind of putting this movie down. Like everybody's kind of like, you went too far, Taika. So I'm kind of hoping that next movie is his I Have Something to Prove. Like with all like across the board, the critique and it being the final one. I do feel like and also I feel like, since it is a Marvel production, that the bosses might actually like say, all right, we need you to pull back some. And my hopes, my expectations are quite high for his third installment. So, very positive. Yeah, I'll say very positive B+. Just slathered, just butter knife covered with flaws, but still tastes delicious.
That's a good.
For sugary goodness.
Thank you.
I've never heard anyone put it like that. That's slathered with flaws, but still tastes delicious.
the butter knife.
We'll put that on the poster. I want my poster quote: "Slathered in flaws, but still delicious." All right. Let's close this up. Doc Falconer, where can we find more of your work on the Intertron?
Yeah, sure. You can find me, Doc Falconer, on both Twitter, if I ever tweet again, and Instagram. And yeah, how about I advertise something nice and old? Why don't you go watch some of my old Wanda and Pietro video at home YouTube videos? My friend Sarah and I made a short web series about the Maximoff siblings living in a small apartment in New York like 6 years ago.
Funny.
So
I love
go watch that.
More
how would they
relevant
find
now
it?
than ever.
How would they find it?
YouTube. Just look up Wanda and Pietro at home.
All right, there you go. All right, and then Isaac, the Lobster Magnet review guy. Where can you find more of your work on the internet?
Yeah, just type in Lobster Magnet in your Google search bar or your YouTube search bar, and you can check out my video essays. I haven't posted one in a while. I feel bad about it, but hopefully I'll post one soon.
Yes, please like and subscribe. I love his channel. You guys will get a lot out of it. All right, you can find me at Keith Justice on Instagram, at Keith Hayward on the Twitters, and you can find this podcast and more on popgeeks.com. Thank you guys for listening, and we will see you next time. Have a good one. And we're out.
Hold on.
Whoa,
MJ, did you do your...
Oh, shite. Yeah, I'm not going to stop recording. And thank you. MJ, please, where can you find more of you on the internet? God, I suck.
It's all right, man. I really don't have that much out there. You can find me MJ3342 on Insta and Facebook. I am working to actually start creating content after some encouragement from Mr. Hayward there. So I'm going to start trying to get some stuff on Pop Geeks and anywhere else I can get to. And the only thing you'll find of mine on YouTube is a amalgamation of all 3 Unforgiven songs by Metallica into a 20-minute suite. That's all you're going to find of me on YouTube.
Rad. I will try to find it. All right, everyone, thank you for listening. Starcadian, please play us out.
know you're gonna like